Everything go. Everything start. 7 seconds till the on-air light changes color to indicate that I am on air. Indeed, I am on air. Okay. Here we are. YouTube running. Twitch running. Chat thing's not running. Damn it. All right, hold on. I got to pop some stuff out in order to get all my stuff. So let's go to this one. Let us mute the stream. YouTube will load very slowly. So I'm going to then pop out the chat so that I have that chat puppeted out. Next, we go to my regular account and I go to Twitch TV. Oh, bother. And then I drill down through my own personality and vanity. And I go into the chat and I selflessly click pop out chat. Boom. There. Then I make amends with the streamers that have beef with me. We shake hands and everybody agrees that it was all stupid. And then I have to open up my shared chat interface. So that is on, what is that? Chat Ninja, what was it called again? Social Stream. Social Stream Ninja. Here we go. And now I have both of my, oh, I already had that open. I already had Social Stream open in another window. It was all for naught. Okay, so there's my chat. There's my interface over there. There is my thumbnail that I have to do now. It's another thing that I have to do in order to make stream go live, is I have to make a thumbnail. So it involves just taking a picture with my cell phone of anything that I've got going on, if I've even decided what I'm going to be doing for stream. I'm sweating. It's hot in here. I'm going to sit, well, okay, you guys are going to get fan noise with my voice. If you're listening on headphones, you're going to hear fan. I don't like that, but I've tried to, you hear me adjusting the stool as I try to kick it over here without tripping over it. Look, I like good audio. I really do. I took a very nice pair of headphones and I balanced the audio, and then I took a very terrible pair of headphones and I also balanced the audio on those. But people listen on their phones and stuff. I'm already sweating. I'm already sweating. I'm already a mess. It's like 75 degrees down here today. So we're going to do some breadboarding, some very minimal amount of moving today. Someday we'll really get sweaty and take apart the mill, but that's going to be a project in and of itself. But I need that mill to work again because I've got some camera stuff that I wanted to build. But yeah, I haven't gotten anything done in the past week. So I'm gonna be a total mess of project speculation today. Total mess. I'm gonna be all over the map. Yeah, it's just what's gonna happen. What do we got going on? Oh yeah, there's nobody's left. Everybody vacated. I was watching a TechSmith stream and he gave me a very nice shout out. He's like, "Oh, you're that Twitch guy that does electronic stuff." And it's like, what? People actually know that I do this? Like, it's weird that you could just, you know, TechSmith is not a random person. I, of course, follow his streams. I watch them all the time. There's not a lot of people on in the mornings on the East Coast. The world seems to revolve around LA time, but I do watch a lot of tech. And I love his stuff. It's not random. I've been in his chat before, so maybe he circled back and, you know, watched my stuff briefly, albeit. But it's cool to have that little bit of recognition. I have been working on the mixer circuit, not as much as you would think. I have not gotten stuff done. I have been in a spiral. I've been in a spiral of not getting work done. And so today I'm solving it. I'm going live and I'm pushing the issue and I'm making myself work on something. This is what it's like to be self-employed. Not to mention, I mean, you know, life got in the way of streaming, and so we didn't have streams for a whole week. That weighs on my conscience. I need to keep myself established and you know, always, it's, you say terminally online, but it's like terminal if you're not online. So my streams are hard to do. I don't have a game that gives me like a plot to follow. You know, you play a game, you get into a plot, you follow it to fruition, and you have a nice succinct little short stream. Cool. With electronics and stuff, we can't necessarily do that all the time. I try, I really do. It's a big effort, but it takes a lot out of you. It's a lot of thinking on your toes. Brains don't have toes. Well, they do have toes. Brains have toes, but the brain itself, the thought process. Anyway, it takes a bit out of you. And I do streams 3 times a week. It's like the minimum number that you can do. But man, it's exhausting sometimes. But I did a little bit of work in the background, hopefully to make my life a little bit easier. I hooked up. This thing is not. That's not. This is ARM procedure. Got to do all of my pre-game stuff. There we go. Microsoft updated again, furthering me towards the horizons of Linux. Is Burn the Subs active or is that an old picture? This is current Burn the Subs. I have the on-air light magnetly attached to Burn the Subs because I look at it every time I leave the shop. It sits behind me on my way out to the door, right? And so the on-air light is there because that indicates to me that I've stopped everything in my setup. It actually doesn't tell me everything. I need to somehow figure out whether or not YouTube is broadcasting, and I need to be able to pull that often. And we talked about it in the Discord. It seems like my best bet. I mean, I could do the system that YouTube has with their API, but it seems a little pointless to do all of that work because it'll pull several times during a stream. And I guess I could hook it up so that it'll only pull if I go live. But I really need it to just constantly check to see whether or not my YouTube page has live on it, right? I think that's what I need to do. I think I just need to do it through HTML. Just because Google has this like point system that you spend against, and that would be detrimental to the purpose of that light. The purpose of that light is just to check whether I'm live and tell me whether I'm live. It does do that for Twitch because Twitch has the event sub system, but we're going to have to do like an HTML poll. It's like hitting refresh on a web page constantly. I don't know what that's going to do. I don't know if my router will, or my ISP will flag that for something. But anyway, the point is that light is supposed to tell me whether or not I'm live. So I put the BTS camera on that light. BTS is not functional right now, and we need to work on it, and we will. I'm gonna roll the desk away. The desk that's this big brewing desk that I've got that Julian and Dave use when we're streaming with them. I got to unhook the computer and a couple things with wires and then move that table away. I'll use it as a chair to work on the board as it is right now. Because as it is right now, we've got a couple wiring harnesses that need to be sorted out. And then the cooling tubes, I need to run through the drag chains. I may need to reinvent how the drag chains are functioning. It would be nice if I could flip them up top, but I don't think I have that option. I don't think I can fully flip them up top, but they would be a nice little like dust cover for the rest of the board. And having the one drag chain droop down would be much more effective. That would mean that the wiring harness would have to go quite a distance. I'd have to have a big cable lash on the right there as it goes into the control board because that D-sub connector is downwards. It's down where it's right next to that coil of tube. It's a lot of stuff to think about. It's not a very complicated system. I mean, it's just a laser that we decided to water cool. What's up, Lawn Dog? Great news to have you back. Being gone in the first place was not by choice, and I don't appreciate having been gone, but it is, I guess, good to be back, yes. I'm forcing myself to work on this mixture on stream because I just haven't made the progress that I wanted to in building it. And what I did is I put together this document that has all of the stuff that I'm using. This is my quick sketch over here, but then on the right here is my is a miasma. This is all the stuff that I'm putting together and all of the little crib notes that I need in order to like put all the different systems onto the board. What just happened there? Something happened. It was Keeper of Maps. Hey, Keeper of Maps, friend of the show, Keeper of Maps. Subscribe with a tier 1 for 63 months. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. I guess chat on this screen isn't persistent. It'll kind of come up and go. I think that's what I wanted. Going by your video title. Yeah, that's what I put that in there myself. I just don't feel good about it. So I had to single out. Whatever, it's okay. It's all good. Yeah, I missed like 3 streams because of just being a wreck. And then I also had to help people out and do all kinds of tasks like that. And for some reason, all this stuff comes up exactly when I'm streaming. Sometimes just before I'm streaming, but all these emergencies. None of it was that important. I don't even think any of it was worth stopping stream, but that just happens. I ordered some new Chemwick. What happened to that? Is that already in rotation? No. My solder sucker. Where is it? Huh. Okay. We got to work without solder braid. I'm pretty sure I ordered more. That should be coming in the mail yesterday. I mean, I don't see why it should take so long to get here. Shoulder surgery. 10 weeks ago to repair a rotator cuff. Oh, do you have rotator cuffs elsewhere? Are there other rotator cuffs? What other rotator cuff was this? Healing is going well. That's very good to hear. Very, very good to hear. Oh, that's weird. It came into the social stream blade twice, but there's only one chat message there. Oh, is it because I've got multiple Twitch windows open? No, because lines... Oh, no, lines and squares came in twice. Okay, something's up. Hold on. Maybe I have an old Twitch chat open. See how many windows I have. Oh my god, I've got everything. Oh yeah, there's an old... This chat. Go. Weird, I didn't know that could happen. Do we have an old YouTube chat open? That's that, and then this one's that, and then this one's there, and then this one's there. Okay, now we're good. I can finally watch streams in 1080. What happened? Did Verizon finally replace your crap? Because they made us replace ours. We had to do it. Brushing up on negative adjustable power supplies? That could be hard on the mind. Just move the numbers on the number line. It's all number line stuff. I know it can get a little overwhelming now. There, that should come in once now. Oh, you had bad silicon doing crazy shit. That's interesting. That's a big failure. That sucks. You got to spend all that money on new hardware. I had a time where I had a bad RAM stick, or like one of the chips of RAM was bad in the machine. Did a whole men test sweep and found like, oh, these sectors are just gone. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go get more memory. Like, it's an old computer. How bad could that be? Hundreds of dollars if I were to say in the same... Basically, buying a new stick of RAM was more expensive than just getting a motherboard and memory from Micro Center with a CPU that was cheaper, and it bumped this computer up a generation. This computer's still ridiculously old, but the Stream PC gets updates when things explode. Yeah, the thing about computer hardware is that it gets old fast, and when it gets old, the price goes way down. And when it gets old and the price goes way down, it goes away. Pieces of it go away, you don't want to store it, etc., etc. So it goes away, and then it has already weaved its way into important systems. And so you have the combination of rareness and importance, and so the price skyrockets. So there's this brief moment where the price is like super duper inflated on old gear. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And I ran into that directly. I often run into that because all my hardware is so old. Hence my love of water cooling and keeping the computer as cool as I can, as long as I can, so that I don't break the hardware. Like Chevy's Iron Duke, only still used in mail trucks. That's an Iron Duke? I thought that was... Northrop Grumman developed the LLV, the mail truck that America uses currently. The long life vehicle. Those things are at a minimum 60 years old. And they still run because they were designed to run forever. I did not know that they used a Chevy Iron Duke in there. That's a pretty reliable. You can walk into AutoZone and find parts without going over the counter for motors like that. Retro happens a long time after I'm done using it. Yeah, non-interference valves. The Audi designed Porsche 944 had an interference engine and a timing belt. The combination of those two is cursed, at least in that era of cars. I drove one daily since 1989. Hell yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so the combination of a belt and an interference, a timing belt and an interference engine are so dangerous. The most interference engines that are worth anything are going to be using a timing chain because it's like 1,500% more reliable, and it won't break, and suddenly your timing is off, and suddenly your valves and your pistons are trying to share the load, Mr. Frodo, and they all fucking just die. It's crazy. Pretty much every engine is interference. Yeah, they had to do that in order to get the most out of them, I guess. Even in that era, even in the era when the Iron Duke was out, it was rare to have a non-interference engine. Huh. See, I don't know that. I didn't know that. Not that I needed to know that, but I guess I know it now. Thanks, Groovy. I just forgot something very important and dear to me to make room for that fact. I hope you're happy. Oh yeah, gears. Oh man. Timing gears. All these mechanical wonders. Did you see the Australian machinist who took their lathe and instead of having timing gears in the lathe, he put it to a stepper motor, which seems like the most cursed thing I've ever heard of, but it seems as though they were machining stuff perfectly fine with it. Grandma's beloved cookie recipe. Oh no. I'm gonna forget to like oil the pan on some kind of recipe now. the work I put in trying to make a white sauce is gone. It's just gone now. Because most engines in the Iron Duke era were interference. Yeah, I don't know where you'd run into problems with that. Like, we're talking a lathe, right? You've got a thing spinning at a certain rate, and then you've got a screw spinning at a certain rate, and that screw is going to move the thing that cuts stuff. Essentially, right? So putting that one to a stepper motor so that this thing can be independent without any timing gears on it, and this thing syncs up to whatever timing you have on that. So you move it by its steps. I don't know if it was direct. I think it might have had a gearing system on it, but still, like the speed at which you can induce into the inductors the magnetic field so that it moves boop one step more, which at 0.8 of a degree, I think. 0.8 of a degree, how quickly can you do that? Does it start to show up in the machining that you're doing? Like if you're making threads, are your threads going to have a little bit of like a herky-jerkiness to them? Are they going to start to deform in, like if you're doing very small threads? I wonder when you start to see the effect of having a stepper motor instead of some kind of gearing. And they didn't go into this with that video. They were just talking about the system in general. I don't know if it's a common thing. It was a cool build though. I really liked it. Those Australian machining channels are a staple of my weekend. How's it going, YouTubers? How's it going, Twitchers? Yeah, you got layer lines on subtractive machining. It's, well, how do, you know, all my experience with CNC and stepper motors, I'm like the stepper motor guy, right? Like that's my bread and butter is an XY table. And yet I don't know about this stuff. I don't know. I just don't know. Like what the step size is so small. Burn the Subs, we gave it a phenomenally small step size. It's using lots and lots of steps to sort of gradually, and maybe it depends on the controller too, because some controllers are just jerking that, they're jorking the stepper 0.8 degrees, 0.8 degrees, 0.8 degrees, right? Whereas in modern control electronics, it kind of eases it into the next step. So you can have sub steps in your steps, and you can also gradually move it through steps. So that I would think that increases the level of detail on something like a stepper motor controlled lathe. And it's not, I don't think the main quill is not a stepper motor. It's just using well, do they do 3-phase in Australia? I guess they might. Everything is weird over there. But they're probably using just like a universal DC motor or an inductance motor, probably. Those are lighter. But it's like that motor is only controlling the quill. Crazy stuff. Bum, 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 bum. The music is probably pretty low. My voice is hopefully way more clear now that I'm pretty much right up in the reds. I was always told, and this is against all of the advice that was given to me that one day when everybody was dragging bother about his audio. All of my time has been spent in that yellow section right there. I was told that you should not ever be touching the red, whereas the advice is saying you should get into the red a little bit, which I do now. This mixer, for all it's worth, was not that great at doing lav mics. This thing over here, the Rodecaster 2. I have 2 lav mics on it though, and I need to adjust the second lav mic to have the same settings as the first one. Oh, that's my hair coming into the shot. Dun 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 dun. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so this thing, not as good with the lav mics. I feel like there's a lot of extra stuff in there that I don't want to be broadcasting. There's a high pass filter, there's no low pass filter. I don't know. But you guys say it sounds exactly the same, which is what I was going for. You said the word, you said starting, and my petulant Node Red flow activated, and it made stream start soon really big on the screen. What's up, Lesnar? It's been my experience from recording, you want to get into the red in short instances, and then you get the strongest signal without distortion. That's what they were saying, and they were saying I should be getting into the red, but not clipping. And what I discovered is that when you go past this red in the OBS interface, the whole bar goes red. So it really tells you that you've gone into the red. Where, you know, going into the yellow, it's not changing color. If I go into the red just a little, well, I can't. I'm right up against the red. That is the loudest that I can get without tricking the compressor. And it's supposed to be adjusting my volume to the degree where you can't tell. It doesn't sound like somebody is sitting there turning me up and down as I talk. That shouldn't be what it sounds like. It just sounds like you shouldn't be able to tell that somebody is adjusting the volume. It's tough to do though. The meter on the Focusrite 2i2, the audio interface that's over there, that one's going to be going over to the desk soon. I still need to jiggle some wires and get some stuff uncovered. But the Focusrite has just a simple LED behind the 2 channels knobs. So that has an LED behind it that'll turn green, yellow, and red. And so I was treating red as clipping over here too. So I wanted things just barely to go into yellow. Clip LED. Well, I have a clip. I have clippers. My LEDs are over there. Multiple meaning words today on Twitch TV Bye. No, see, it's not on the, I'm right up against the red. It goes all the way up, right up against, I can't go louder than this. Get me a clip of the LEDs. I actually wanted to get a clip from an Adam and Pals, the YMS guy, Your Movie Sucks. He said something during one of his Adam and Pals watches of, it was a Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Right towards the end of the video, he goes, "I'm soldering." And I'm like, yes, I need that clip. Clip the leads on the LED clip and then clip the audio clip so it's clipping while you watch the clippers. You hold your clippers watching the clippers while you're clipping LEDs and peaking your clip of audio. You're broadcasting your 60 hertz electricity to us. If you hear weird stuff, it's because there's a fan. I'm basically sitting on the fan because it is hot as hell down here today. The AC is usually pretty strong, and it'll probably come in this afternoon to freeze me, literally. But unfortunately, my audio mastering skills, there's no noise handling. There's a noise gate. And I think, yeah, I am using it. That's why the audio is able to cut out there. instead of you guys listening to murmur, 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 murmur. And the music is, of course, the music is hopefully getting all that audio for you, but I can't filter myself as well as I used to. And I don't want to use, I could use, there's like a neural network plugin for noise gating, like getting rid of noise and only having voice frequencies coming through. There's RTX audio. I could invest into that and get a better video card on this machine and actually utilize most of it doing RTX audio, and then my audio would be super clean. I want to do that because we do stuff with our hands here. We actually work with stuff. If I was playing games, I would obviously want that. That would be great. RTX audio could really push the stream into being super professional. But my audio is already pretty professional. I try to use nice, expensive tools, but I don't want to do that because things make noise. I put something down on the desk. I want it to make that bonking noise when I put something down. I don't want to have to come in and redo my Foley on my live stream. Oh yeah, we have the multimeter up with leads on it. You know things have gotten serious when the leads go on the multimeter. I need a real-time Foley artist. So I'm like, let's try not to blast you guys out. I didn't hear that. You guys would have heard that. Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Just, this thing, this thing, this thing. It's the big buttons on the mixer. I have reprogrammed most of those to do things that I want them to do. Yeah, that's actually, Red Letter Media coined that sound effect as the Kurlan Neskar, because in one of the Star Trek movies, the TNG movies, Picard is going through stuff in the broken ship. It's the one where they crash the saucer section, and he's going through stuff. And the most important piece of pottery that was gifted to him by one of his professors, the Kurlan Neskar. It is basically, it's a pottery of a person with a bunch of little people inside of them, because that's what the aliens believed that they were. They were a vessel of many different. So it had all the significance in Star Trek and in the plot. And the thing about Star Trek is they try to keep continuity. But in the TNG movies, things got dumb. And so they show Picard picking up this Kurlan Neskar, just tossing it aside. And it didn't make that pottery breaking noise, but Red Letter Media loves that noise. And so they call that noise the Kurlan Neskar. So in some circles, people will call that sound by the name of the pottery to highlight the gaffe that they made in a TNG movie. Wow, that is very eclectic. Nobody gets your stupid references, bother. Damn it, I make the reference for myself. It's for me. It's for me. It's complicated and deep sound effect lore here on Oh Bother. Hey, the only reason I kept Oh Bother and didn't come up with some other name, which, boy, I could have come up with a better name, but I guess Oh Bother fits a little bit. But the only reason I kept it is because the only shout out that was ever given on previously recorded live, which is Jack and Rich streaming. They don't do that anymore. The only shout out they ever gave, me, and it was to Oh Bother. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to roll with that momentum. I don't know. That didn't really give me a ton of momentum. I don't know. Shout outs and like raids and stuff like that don't really net you as much benefit as you would think. It looks great. Everything is flashy and everybody comes in. Oh, wow. Ooh, who's this? You get like 2 follows. In the beginning, follows aplenty. It was tons and tons of following. But nowadays, like when somebody raids in, it often doesn't do anything. Like, so I don't know. They're great though. I love the fanfare and I like praising other streamers. Yeah, it's likely that a lot of people would find you through raids. It's just weird that like the effect is tamped lately. It's tamped way down. And also there's something in the URL that makes it so that the raid viewers are like counted differently. So when you're trying to get to partner, raiding, somebody can come in with 10,000 people. Well, actually, statistically, if somebody comes in with 10,000 people, there's going to be a lot of follows and you'll probably be able to partner. But if somebody comes in with like 20 people, they're not going to count towards your views And at that point, you're counting, 20s are about the granularity that you want to be counting, because you want to have 100 viewers average. They say 70, and some popular streamers are like, they should make it harder. Whatever. Yeah, Twitch does not count raid views towards that statistical average. So if you change the URL, it'll count. But that's just one of those things. But anyway, the overall effect of it, of people raiding into your channel. What's funnier is when I raid into Rabaz, it's mostly Rabaz viewers in here anyway. So I'm just like putting it onto another browser window for some people. You thought it was Plank. That's funny. The lore behind my emote, I guess, it's sort of just, it's not Plank. It's a chip, and it's yellow because the Google blobs are yellow, and I wanted to have a distinct, color theme. We came up with the blue, white, and black, and then yellow for the emotes because it stands out and looks really nice on the gray background, but I didn't want to make it like an MS Paint thing, so I rounded the edges a little bit and gave it just some thickness. And the chips going out the side, it looks kind of like a slightly better chip, like drawing. And then yellow because the Google Blob emotes were yellow, right? So all I had to do was take some Google Blob emotes, steal them. And then I discover, years after doing this natural process that got me to having a yellow chip emote, that Fry's Electronics mascot is a goddamn yellow chip with black pins. It is an accursed thing. I mean, this is some kind of fucking cryptid, but it is it's very similar to the bother emotes. That's, listen, Fry's Electronics, don't take me to court, because look, I can explain. It's not my fault. Oh, Fry's was first. They came up with it a long time ago. Like, it was in their photocopied mail-outs. They're like pamphlets before the days of digitally editing print stuff. Newsprint. The thing is, though, the pandemic killed Fry's, so there's no one to sue or to be sued by. I had the pandemic do my dirty work of killing off any rival brand association. Great minds think alike. Please don't send me to Gulag. But yeah, so the chip is not Plank, but it is a little bit too much Fry's. The Fry's Electronics entity, yeah, somebody probably still holds all the legal stuff. And that would include the branding of the mascot. Well, theirs has blue eyes, mine doesn't. So they're totally different from one another. This thing is horrifying. This looks like that Bitcoin guy. Eesh. Eesh. That horrifying Bitcoin thing, or BitConnect. Was that? No, that wasn't BitConnect. Which one was that? I don't know. There's that 3D animated Bitcoin ad that haunts my dreams. If I just chosen a different color. I don't think any other color would look right, though. All right. I have all the windows open. I have all the things up. We have the Keeper of Maps sub. I have allergies. The back of my throat is feeling allergies. Fun. It's always fun. Fun. But we're getting ready to breadboard. One thing we need to do is we need to bring the scope up on any of these views. So I need to make the scope scene. Oh, that's going to be tough to do. Actually, I can do it in broadcast mode, because then I can work in a blank studio mode, rather. because now on the left I can work, and on the right, yeah. So how do I change? I guess I can go to a new scene here, call it frame scope, or just scope, frameless scope. Oh yeah, some of these are going to be broken if I've renamed scenes. Maybe not, I don't know. But this is what I'm broadcasting. This is what, okay. So we're going to add to that. Actually, let's get it from another, oh, I deleted it from another scene. Rigol, oh, let's turn on the scope too. That's the other thing we need to do. I need this to be active in order to make the scene. So this Rigol scope over here, I got it recently. It's pretty good at what it does. I need a $100 board in order to use the logic thing. I did not know about that. I got this specifically for the logic thing, but you need a $300 if you're getting it from Rigol, or $80 if you get the DIY one, thing to plug into here in order to run the logic stuff. It's fucking stupid. I hate this kind of thing. I didn't know I was roping myself into that. I didn't do the research. But anyway, I pressed the power button on the scope, so it's obviously going to snap it into action and immediately start working. Takes a full like 50 seconds. Renaming things in OBS shouldn't break things. It'll break the Node-RED flows, and it'll break the Stream Deck stuff. So I'm not renaming though. It is a full 50 seconds. It's a full fucking 50 seconds to get into the scope. That is not, I don't like that. But the thing that the scope excels at is putting the image of the scope and all the controls into an intranet website. So it's in my network, and I can control the scope and observe the scope through the network at a high frame rate. The previous scope was abysmal at that sort of thing. It took forever to do even just one frame. It was better for taking screenshots of your scope. This is good for operating your scope. Is that hard to do? No, probably not, but the other scope did it really badly. So even though this one has an HDMI out, I don't use it. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. Oh my God. Oh, that mutes me, right? Yeah, it does, okay. I have multiple mutes now. Yeah, it shouldn't be something that's hard to do, having an HDMI out on something with a screen, but apparently it's totally impossible to do in that era of digital electronics. Nowadays, this thing does everything because it's Android-based. They were able to build in a lot of really cool functionality into it. That includes having that intranet website. I need to look it up. I forget what the URL is. Rigol intranet site. Browser site. There we go. Nope, nobody's talking about it. Maybe I can just type Rigol into the tab. Nope. Okay. Local.rigol. That didn't do it. Using a serial link, blah, 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 blah. Hacking the Rigol, no. Why is this hard to find? Rigol local internet. Yeah, it's some local IP. I mean, I guess I could just check the IP, but then this thing, I don't know if I've given this thing Wi-Fi credentials. Oh, let's see. Oh, there's an update to download. Wonderbar. This thing is plugged in with the wire, so maybe I can just look at this thing's utility. Oh, 2.223. Okay, let's try that. So, oh, here. So, 192. There it is. And then this is the URL that we want. So we don't want this. We want this. And we want it in Chinese simplified /control. Okay, there we go. So that's the interface that I want. So I'm going to go to my blank scene. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Got to move it way down. Bring that all the way down. Frameless audio source, frameless overlay, frameless scope. In there, I'm going to add a browser source. And it'll be called scope. Oh, did I already have scope? No, I didn't. There's that. And now I can put the URL in. And what is the size here? 1280 by 800. So 1280 by 800. Shut down when not visible, refresh browser when scene becomes active. No, I don't want that. Okay, let's try it. Boop. There it is. Bring that up to full size. It looks like it, it's not really gonna, well, I'll bring it in and leave room for the shadow and stuff. So we'll do some random size like that. Okay, so you guys can't see what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is I'm working on, over here, I'm making the thing that I'm gonna pull into the scene. So there's that scene. So I'm gonna go back to regular mode. We want this one. And I'm gonna hit stop streaming. No, studio mode, okay. So we're gonna go here. Wow! Who had an idea? Well, the reason I do that is because I've got filters that'll do the framing. So I'm going to add, in SpringArm, I'm going to add the scene that is the scope. So frameless scope. Click OK. And there's our scope. Move that down. Maybe below overlays. Small. Looks like it's cut off a little bit. Wait, what's going on here? Let me go back to, I guess maybe it didn't keep on the scene. So if I go to studio mode, let's get this out of the way. I wonder why the whole thing is invisible. Let's just put that there for now. And I'll go to studio mode, and then I got to go back to the frameless scope. Yeah, it dragged it off the, maybe I did that. Okay, so there's that. See, if I went to this scene, it would cut off all of my audio. All right, so now I can add filters. Actually, I want to add filters to it down here, don't I? No, wait. Yeah, because I want it to be universal. That's what I'm talking about. If I flip to those, then it'll cut my audio. I guess we need to do it individually. Filters. Let's add a filter to it. And that would be advanced mask. Shape. Rectangle. Regular polygon, star, or heart. I could do a heart. Oh, God. I remember doing, this is always a pain in the butt. What was it? It was 1600? What? Oh, 1280 by 800. So the width is 1280. And the height is 800. Which for some reason isn't the right size. I guess because I resized it in OBS. There's the width, height. The height's not centered. Oh, because I dragged it to the side in that scene, so I need to make sure it works. So this is stuff that I should be doing off camera, to be honest. Because that's going to affect the corner cut. Corner radius, uniform, pull it in. See how that one over there, where are we? That one looks stupid. That one looks really stupid because my mask isn't centered on the thing. Why you look stupid? I need to fiddle with this on my own, I think. But this will allow me to draw a border around it and stuff, and then I can also mask it and make the edges round and drop a shadow on it. But it requires me to find all this stuff. Make sure it's nice and even. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that right now. It's way too fiddly, and I don't feel like doing it. Or do I? No. Let's get that off of here. There, back to being square. I mean, I could also drop a what is it, a border around it so that it looks a little bit more diegetic and sort of popped in. So if I do filters and I do a shadow, the shadow color is going to be white. Size is hard to see because it's white. There we go. A little bit like that. That other corner is going to be tough to see, but we want it to be, and I guess the advanced mask can also pull that in a little bit. I want it to be right up against. Completely intense. Actually, wait, there's an outline filter. Hold on a minute. Let's see, chroma key, color correction, crop pad, glow, HDR, mask blend, luma, render, scaling, scroll, shadow, sharpen, stroke. What does stroke do? Does it just give me a stroke? I think that's what I want. Yeah, it is, okay. There, that's all we wanted. Just, duh. All right, we'll keep that one on just because it helps kind of frame this thing out of the background. I should add a shadow to it if I'm adding that, though. This is what happens. I get into this, and then I don't stop until things are perfect. Filters, plus, shadow, 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 black shadow, lower right. Give it a little bit of distance. A little bit less intensity. A little bit closer. Wide angle's fine. Size. Do just a little bit like that. There we go. It's the combination of the shadow and the white barrier that kind of puts it into the scene. Okay. See, but the thing is, like, I should make a frame version of this scene, and that way I can pull it into other windows and it'll still have the same filters on it. That's what I didn't do for this. It's so that it's uniform across my my different things, so that it looks like there is a diegetic source of light, so to speak. I keep using that word. Wayne Johnson subbed for 60 months. I'm old at 60, aren't we all? I've been streaming for way too long on this platform. There are too few people. But here we are. Yeah, how's everybody doing today? There we go. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's how I've been organizing my scenes. Is you've got the original source, then you've got the source that I put the effects on, and then that's pulled into the main. That's apparently the way you're supposed to be doing OBS, because everything else is a little bit buggy. Like if you go into a scene and you adjust something, everything moves. And I had been frustratingly just dealing with that. But apparently scenes nested within scenes is the way to go. That's apparently the way to be. I'll have to move all that stuff over to its own scene, but yeah, so this web interface is pretty cool. You can actually control your whole scope through it. I said you can actually... Okay, maybe not. I thought you could control the scope through this. Well, that was what this did. Apparently not. All right. We need to do a software update to the scope. I don't know what that's going to do for the interface there. I hope it doesn't change it, but this is an unfortunate thing I have to do. 60 months is half of 10 years? What? I don't want to think about that. Upgrade. Update.gel. Okay. I accept that you could possibly blow up my scope. Upgrading, please wait. Oh boy. This might nerf the scope for a little while. I shall enjoy a crisp glass of water. All right. We're going to need the scope today because we're going to go step by step through this circuit that I haven't been working on. And I want to get my test bed down because one of the main questions that I want to solve is the audio in phase with the audio out? That's the question. That's all I want to answer. But there's some weird parts about the circuit that I don't quite understand, like turning it into amplitude-based signaling. Can I just throw this in? I kind of want a buffer amp in here, though. And will that get my BS within phase with itself? So we're going to step through this thing and piece by piece take a look at what's happening to our audio as we go. I should get started soon out here if I am inclined to begin streaming, which I am. Let's lower the volume on this thing. Hit pause on it. Now the desktop audio still goes to its own source. I have implemented this mixer, the Rodecaster 2. I've had it for a long time. I had it for the gaming streams, but I wanted to use it with my main streaming setup because it was collecting dust. Right? I don't like to have hardware that just doesn't do anything in my shop. I don't like to, but I happen to have a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Focusrite to the table so that Julian and Dave get their table audio, their output to the rest of the stream. I'll have to mix that with OBS. I can't use my mixer in any way. It's kind of weird because Julian and Dave kind of just give you their audio and they don't care what's going on, but they don't have like compressors on their audio. So we might need to figure out like a compressor for them so that they don't blast out everybody's speakers. They tell me they won't, and then they do something like play at 500% volume, amen break suddenly. It's like, oh, our audio is fine. It's woo, 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 woo. And then all of a sudden it's boom, boom, and it's like, blah, blah, blah. Entertain me, streamer, while I run on the treadmill. I don't have a carrot. I would dangle a carrot for you. I don't know. I haven't seen a vegetable in months. So anyway, Julian and Dave give me audio and they often don't like make it broadcast nice. So I can now do that with a Focusrite. I guess I could do that with my mixer, but with the Focus, the Rodecaster. But I had to do a lot of audio settings in the Rodecaster, and I hope I sound okay for everybody. Yeah, there's the carrot. You got to get that. Anyway, I'm talking about mixers that aren't the mixer that we're going to work on today. You can see me. I look completely disheveled. I've not had a good time. It has straight up been a bad time out here. But I'm back to streaming. So, I put everything else aside. I still need to do like life things like, doctor's appointments and prescription medicines and stuff. I've got a lot of stuff to deal with. But right now we're going to hide down here where nobody can get to us. And we're going to work on this mixer for Julian. This thing came about randomly and I did one version of it. I built the whole thing up and I gave it to Julian in a functioning shape. And he had a couple notes. And so we are incorporating those notes, but I don't think Julian knew how fundamentally his notes changed our overall setup. You sound great, a little jarish, but it could be my headphones. Are you hearing the fan? I have the fan basically under my armpit, blowing air up into me, and it's woo 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 in the background. Because when I plug into my mixer, I guess I'm getting a super high quality version of my own audio. You don't. That's so weird. When I plug into the mixer, I hear it. Every time I talk, it's woo 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 in the background. Like this low, subtle woo 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 woo. Even though the mixer could be like a mile away, I could still hear it. And I think that's because I'm getting such high quality audio out of the mixer, and my voice is so perfect and wonderful and amazing that I'm just the best at everything. No, it's because I'm getting such high quality audio out of the mixer, I'm hearing that. But when it gets crushed through Twitch and then pulled back apart for your listening, I guess the sound isn't there. Maybe if I plugged in the same headphones to my OBS output, I'd hear it again. But if it's good enough for people listening on speakers and headphones, then I'm happy. It just means that I need to figure out a way to mix it down so that I hear what you're hearing. My headphone goes from ambient noise to closed because I'm lazy to set them up. Okay. After 1.5 years, I finally found out how to control my 2D screen through software and not the screen buttons. Turns out I have to use the NVIDIA software. What? Well, for this, 2D screen through software. Oh, second screen. Oh. Wait, what? What's the context? I don't understand. You sound great. No noise. Thank you. It's good to have somebody verify. So, like your second monitor on your computer or second screen on what? Anyway, so I've got all of this stuff planned out. With the mixer, change to the luminosity at night. Weird. So with the mixer, the things Julian wanted me to do, he wanted to have a line input and the fadeable input, and then also a headphone. It's an odd, everything is so tamped down to minimal like functionality because of this whole 2 HP thing, the 2 horizontal position thing. Everything is so truncated down that it's weird that he would want 2 controls that control volume, but that's what he specified. So he wants to have it so that you can either have right and left separated out, or have it so that when you plug one in, it'll go to both. It'll normalize, I guess. And that's something we do with the switches that are inside of the jacks. But then he wanted to have a unity gain line input. So the mixer, in the way that it handles the phases, I need to look into this. I think if we add a buffer stage, that means that the 2 channels are largely the same. So we put a buffer in here, and that's going to make the audio flipped. So in order to amplify things, I have to use your typical inverting op-amp scheme. The op-amp inverts, which means that it's also able to lower the amplitude of things. When you have a non-inverting circuit, the transfer function, the input to output ratio that it's capable of performing is dictated by 1 plus R1 over R2, or R2 over R1, I think it is. R2 over R1, right? This is a fundamental of operational amplifiers and the way that they function. So if I have non-inverting, this isn't a classroom, I am able to put down an equation without all of this stuff. But I'm doing this so I don't confuse anybody. This is inverting. Inverting. When you have 2 waves, let's say you have your signal and you have an inverted signal. So if I have a signal, it goes through the amplifier and becomes this. My uwus become owos, right? And when those 2 mix, if you would put a signal through here and back into itself, it'll cancel itself out, because that becomes nothing. It is its own signal canceling itself out because my oohs became oh-ohs, right? I don't want that to happen to the audio coming into the mixer. It's a much more complicated problem when it comes to like actual audio, because your actual audio eventually goes to a speaker. And if you have the out of phase audio mixing back in with in phase audio, it can do weird stuff. Things don't sound quite right. Because remember, we're talking about a vastly complicated signal, right? And there are delays through these amplifiers, even though the amplifiers work in like a minuscule amount of time. It's like a millisecond, right? There is delay in there though. And so the out of phase and the 180 degree and then some out of phase audio mixing back with itself can do weird stuff. You might not even know that stuff's happening. So I need to make sure that through this mixer, this thing that I'm trying to build, whose main diagram is this, I need to make sure that that audio is not falling out of sync, that it's all in the same phase. So I hope that explains it plainly enough. Mainly my explanation is there for the non-audio people and why are you stressing about this? Now, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I should have been working on this thing a lot more. I haven't been good. I lost a lot of discipline over the break, which is why I'm making such a big deal of coming back now. So that's what I want here, because what this does is it makes our inputs what are called high Z. When you plug something in and you add this to the end of their circuit, it can do weird things to whatever's supplying you with audio, right? Whatever's supplying your voltage levels, if you suddenly add a voltage divider, it can do weird stuff. Now, I've seen plenty of circuits that don't have buffers in it, but this is an endpoint mixer, so I really don't want to affect the audio coming in. The inputs to an op amp are high Z, so we're not going to have a lot of, well, it is what it's called. It's a buffer. It will buff the signal so that anything coming in won't affect us and we won't affect anything coming in. Sounds like everything has to be tuned correctly. If it was super duper ultra serial and I was being super duper serious, I don't know, would it affect, I mean, having the same components in the pathway of audio all the way down so that it's even, and then having some kind of equal trace length at the end. See, what I'm doing here is I'm making my own differential signal with these op amps. This might not even be necessary. We might not even need that, and we can just do single-ended audio into our headphone amp. I wanted to do dual-ended audio just because it's common mode noise canceling. So I don't want that common mode noise. So I added another amplifier out here, but we're not at that part of the circuit yet. We need to get all our ducks in a row back here. This stuff is the important stuff. So in that vein, I've started on the breadboard. Let's actually move out a little bit from that. Actually, I need to do micro procedure. Micro procedure, go! That song has been stuck in my head for it feels like a month. We're only here to make you go. Yeah, they're so long because of the variety of sizes that you can get with QFN. These QFNs were very necessary. These are QFN op amps. I got them because they're very similar to the audio op amps that we use, and I don't know a lot about what types of op amps are out there. Instrumentation op amps are kind of what I normally work with. Instrumentation is like super low noise, super fast response, huge wide range of stuff. We're down here with audio, and the ones I chose, they're a little expensive. They're like $5 each, which is that's kind of crazy for an op amp. But I wanted to make a high quality mixer, and I needed space. We only have 2 HP. A 2 HP circuit board. Let me get one from the pile over here. It's like way over here. Ah! Oh my God! Finite singularities, rating with a party of 60 souls, well, 49, and you made my light go purple. You made my idea light up. If you say idea in chat, this thing will light up for a couple seconds. It's a finite raid. Yes, it told me how many of you came in here. Why do you keep saying that? It told me how many of you there were. Of course it's finite. We can asymptotically approach a number and and whatever, estimate what the value is going to be. This is 2 HP. This is the old mixer board. We're doing audio stuff today, and we're going to kind of step through this circuit. My Rigol oscilloscope is still updating. It's probably going to take another year. Ow, my eyes. Hey, fart machine guy, you shut your stupid fart hole. I made a machine that makes fart noises. It's this thing right here. It's called the Fartbox 2000. See, it says Fartbox on it. That text could be a lot more clear. Every time a fart goes off, one of the 6 lights, the 9 lights in here, and the 9 LEDs will light up. And you guys can specify which fart now, because I did a little bit of work in Node-RED to clean up the functionality and make a singular front end to this entire, to the entire interactivity layer of the shop. Basically, I could show you the flows. And how they goes. Where's that browser window? There it is. Oh God, it's the Fry's Electronics scripted, get away. Okay, we have the event sub here, and then I have all of these different actions that it can get out of the flows, and then it'll trigger stuff to happen in the subsequent flows. So when you raid it in, it actually hit the raid flow. That does purple 80, so 80 brightness on the purple light. It'll make 2 flows out of that. One goes into a delay, the other one changes it into off. So it turns on, then it has an off signal that goes in behind it. So you can fart on command. Well, you got to earn it. Somebody just had the idea light turn on. So what I've been doing is I've been making like petulant flows with this thing, just making stupid stuff. So if somebody comes up with an idea, the idea light turns on, and then I can make fun of them. Here I have an on-air light, so I don't accidentally leave stream going for 4 hours again. I accidentally left my stream on for a little bit too long. But yeah, well, no, it actually, wait, that should be on. Ah! Huh, that should be red. Why isn't that red? I don't think the raid did anything. That should be red right now. Hold on a sec. So let's see. Event sub, point redeem, channel shout out. I haven't done anything for channel shout out yet. Oh, that's right. The is live is on a different one, right? That's a node thing. Although I could get it through the event sub, I'm getting it through Node-RED OBS. Node-RED OBS also controls, like, when I go to this scene, this light turns on, and so I get my 3 points of light in this scene. Yeah, it might be out of headlight fluid, but I only have blinker fluid on me. I could put that in there though. It would work all right. It is the wrong kind of fluid, and I'd eventually have to kind of pay the price. Okay, this is the on-air light. It's gotten a little out of control, but it's a lot of stuff going on here. So the connection status contains opened, so we turn purple. That's when I open the app, when I open OBS. So Open OBS also has a 10-minute off timer. That must be what it is. I opened OBS, I did all my stuff, started stream. That was less than 10 minutes. So when I went live, it sent red, but then this delayed off timer went off. And so that turned off the thing. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So I can actually retoggle it with this button right here. So I'm going to go to that scene, the OBS scene, and this is the light that sits behind me in the shop. And I'm going to get stream status. And it didn't do anything. Huh. What do you do? Oh, there it is. Oh, there's a 7-second delay on it. I put a big delay on it so that I could go live, and then there's a big delay so I can go live, and then you guys can see the light changes colors. It sits back here, way back there, so that when I leave, I have to pass by it so I know if I'm streaming or not, so I don't leave the stream on for 4 hours again. Anyway, I'm talking about the mixer. We're building an audio mixer right now. We're building an audio mixer. The problem with building an audio mixer is that my friend keeps giving me these requirements. It's not like he's being like a bad client or anything. It's just stuff that he wants to happen. And Fartbox number 2, What do you mean? Fart box number 2? It's the same fart box. I just reprogrammed it to be more functional. You guys can actually specify what type of fart of the 9 farts that it has. This is the kind of disruptive stuff that I like building around here. It's the same, yeah, it's the same Harman Kardon speaker. It's the one that was in those clear Macintosh speakers. The same speaker, but it, for some reason, it plugged into this dollar store fart noise maker and makes actually, like, some of them are pretty jarring. They're actually quite loud. And so you get the actual audio from my lapel microphone instead of me just playing a sound effect on stream. You get that. I hear what you're hearing. So if it annoys you, it sure as hell does annoy me. So anyway, all those Node-RED flows are allowing that sort of interactive layer of the shop, and we're not done building cool stuff, and I'm not out of ideas for cool stuff to build that are going to function off of this Node-RED thing. It was a major push of the shop to do that, because everything used to be in this shop. Everything used to be its own robot. So the Idea Light, well, it didn't exist at the time, but if I were to do the Idea Light the way that I used to do it, I would program the microcontroller in the light itself to log on to the event sub, do all the credential swapping, and then pull out of the JSON return from event sub its specific functionality that I would have it doing personally. And we used to be able to do that with even an ESP8266, so really incapable, really sort of, well, low capability, but Wi-Fi enabled microcontroller could do all of that because we are good at programming here. We were able to make all of that functionality into a microcontroller. People think you need like a 32-bit micro in order to do all that stuff. We did it with an 8-bit whatever. Nowadays, yes, it is. In fact, it's on Mosquito, MQTT. So nowadays what happens is one interface, Node-RED, will log into the Twitch API, and it's got all the credentials and all of the refresh tokens that it needs, so that every 6 to 8 months we don't have to fiddle with stuff. Because you forget how things are functioning, you know, when their credentials expire. This will get new credentials, and if something happens to the credentials, it'll happen here. This is running on my file server. Yeah, but also running on my file server is an MQTT broker. So what happens is the lights are Tasmota lights. So they can be, through MQTT, they can be sort of queried or whatever. They can get their instructions. And now I can send them more complicated instructions as a result. Over here, you're just seeing chat messages coming in JSON. That was so that I could pick them apart and figure out how to get the stuff out of it. So contains the word idea. That then the message then gets replaced with yellow 80, delayed, but yellow 80 goes all the way to the light, and it says turn on with the yellow light at 80% brightness. So that's pretty, well, it's 0 to 255, so it's not really 80%. But anyway, that sends a message out on MQTT, and then it gets answered by the Idea Light. Burn the subs, this big board that you're looking at that is mounted to my wall, that was its own robot. It will be becoming an MQTT device, but its purpose is to take the names of subscribers, figure out a location on the board that's blank, and then with a blue laser, it would burn their name in very fancy font. I have 2 of these boards. They're filled with, well, between the 2, I think it's 10,000 names. But that was many years ago. We've been working on this board for a while, and I'm going to hunker down and actually start working on it this month. My GitLab at work tests me every 90 days on expired credentials. I forget, like the fart box stopped working one day, and I was like, wait, is it going to be the HTTPS certification, or is it going to be like which credential do I have to go in and get? So this solved a lot of that problem. I can't keep all that stuff in my brain for 8 months at a time. It's just impossible. I just can't do it. So having one singular front end that refreshes its own credentials is a godsend. All right, so I've been explaining like 5 different things at once because there was a lot of activity because we got a lot of new people here all of a sudden. The scope is, of course, still refreshing itself. I warned you guys, I said, hey, what's up, Proteus? Proteus has just subbed. This went red for just a little bit. Proteus with 11 months. Hell yeah, brother. Thank you very much for subbing. I appreciate that greatly. I've been I've warned you guys that I've been extremely discombobulated today because the week off was like an avalanche of life stuff, and I still haven't finished all the things that I need to do, and just rampant ADHD, and so I didn't stream for like a week. I'm back. I'm back, baby, and I'm using this as an opportunity to focus in. I'm going to be totally scrambled for a brief amount of time here. I spent a solid week setting up an ESP32 to auto-configure itself to Twitch. Oh no. Oh, so it can refresh its own credentials and stuff? That's pretty cool. Yeah, that refresh is very annoying. We need to put the big fan on the scope. The scope looks rather warm. Look at that thing. It's kind of looking rather warm in the grand scheme. That's cool. Yeah, if I didn't do Node-RED, because I appreciate the Node-RED flows and how easy it is, just like, oh, we need something that's going to slap me in the balls every time you guys give me channel points. All I need to do is get an ESP8266, and I need to just tell it, hey, when you get a ball slap command, slap me in the balls. And I can punch that down onto the desk, put a solenoid on it, and then the Node-RED flow, I can just add ball punch and then a strength. And you guys suddenly get this new functionality where you can punch me in the balls, right? Like that's not difficult for me to do. That's where Node-RED kind of excels, is suddenly like, oh, I want to do this thing differently now. So, idea, Jesus. That's a terrible idea. No, it's not. It's what you have no idea. Chat is out for blood. Yeah, these guys want blood. They want to harm the streamer physically. It's incredible to witness. Need a TENS machine to zap you. What is it? A what machine? I don't know what that is. TENS? Tesla Incorporated? Thames. The river? What is that? Transcutaneous electronic nerve stimulation. A buddy of mine's dad did consulting for all kinds of different like products and stuff back in the 10s. And so he had a whole bunch of weird stuff. And one of the ones that he had was an electro muscle stimulator. I think it was very similar to that like period cramp simulating thing, but it's just one of those things where you put electrodes. So we put electrodes on and we hook it up to this machine, and this machine had this huge range of adjustability in what it could do, right? Huge range of adjustability. We were on the very beginning of the scale, and you turn it on and you're like, that's nothing. And you start moving the knob and you're like, okay, I feel a little bit. I can feel a little bit more. And then it was just pain, just pure unadulterated pain. It was an evil, awful device. It wasn't like, haha, funny pain. It was like, oh my God, I am dying. Like, it's terrible. There are nuances in the difference. That thing just hurts so bad. I never want to mess with it again. The scope is still updating. This is concerning. This would be the second piece of technology that I have. The first one being the monitor that I use for gaming. My gaming monitor does the same thing, where it's so old that it's got an accursed set of software on it that can't be updated for some fucking reason. Model of the thermal camera. Here, over on Twitch, we have the thermal command, so I can just do that quickly for you. Thermals. It is a Lepton 3.5 in a Pure Thermal Mini Pro. We do need to learn how to program this thing. It's STM32, and there's always a pain in the butt to set up an environment for. Because this thing, the 0.5 of the Lepton sensors know what all of the individual pixel temperatures are. So we could have something that's sort of looking for the hottest thing on camera, pointing it out and giving us an actual temperature. It auto ranges. So right now, everything is going to suddenly look cooler than it is, but it's not. See that? Because there's a little bit of cool gets into there. But don't get the same thermal camera that I do. There are better thermal cameras now. China has figured out the thermal cameras, and so now there's cheaper, better ones with higher frame rate. The Lepton is, wonderful, and it's got the Lepton color palette and everything like that, but it is basically a much worse version of the modern stuff. All right, so what we're doing today, and the discombobulation will continue until morale improves. what we're doing today, what I want to work on today is breadboarding this circuit. And breadboarding is when you put components onto a board that does not require you to solder them in place. I have the breadboard right here. It's just this big grid pattern here, and the rows are connected and the columns on the voltage thing are connected. Everybody should probably already know this if they're watching this channel, but I just want to make sure that you guys know what's going on. We can plug stuff in to our heart's content into this board, and what we're plugging in is amplifiers. We have a scheme that uses a bunch of inverting amplifiers in order to mix two channels together. But in order to mix stereo pairs, because it's a line input, so it's unity gain, no volume control on that, and a stereo pair that has a volume control on it. So this is like the last stage of your synthesizers. If you have other components, other filters that have their own volume control, you can run them into the line input, and then that'll come out using the other volume control, not ours. Ours, if you have just a signal coming out of something that you want to make sure that it works with everybody else, you can plug it into that mixer thing, the mixed lines, and you can fade it out. And then, in order so that you can plug in your headphones, we have another stereo volume control here. So what we have are these voltage controlled amplifier chips. It's basically a chip that has 4 of these voltage controlled amplifiers on it. But in order to run that chip, I need to have an input that's been translated into amplitude, because apparently the way physics works and the transistors, apparently you need to turn it into current. So instead of the voltage going up and down, it's the amount of current going up and down. It's like FM and AM. And then over here, we have to get that signal out. So we need something that will turn the current control back into voltage control. So already this thing is sort of out of control. It's snowballing. Our design is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We need more components in and we need more components out. They say our amplifier is non-inverting. Oh, and no, sorry, one of the reasons that I have to use this chip is because I have 2 controls here that need to be exactly the same. So these 2 things are matched, and if the 2 voltage levels going into these are the same, then they're going to fade that signal equally. That's what it's all about. We want equal fading. I circled the wrong thing. This is where it's turned into amplitude. See, our audio comes in, turns into amplitude, gets faded, and then turns back. We need to make sure that as we go through here and we mix things together, things stay within the same phase. So they say their amplifier is non-inverting. So technically, we come in here, we put it through the first mixer, and this is it. This is where the mixing is occurring. You literally just connect 2 lines together and it's suddenly a mixer. But signal in, buffer, through the amplifier on 1, into the same thing here. So we need to look here and see what the heck's going on, which means I have to drop in with one of these circuits over here. I need to basically add that back here and see what's going on. So we've got a couple things that we need in order to proceed. My scope is not updating. Okay, so we got to reboot the scope now. Can I put that up on? Yeah, this is it. Updating, please wait. Bud, I don't think you're really updating there. I think I've given you plenty of time. Oh, good. I can't touch any of the controls either. All right, you get rebooted. What if I hold down the power button? It's plugged into my network. It actually has its own IP on the network. Okay, that's off and the screen is frozen. By all means, it should be able to connect. I wonder if I gave it Wi-Fi, if it suddenly would connect. We got to wait a full minute for this thing to boot back up. We're going to need it on screen today. My dusty oscilloscope. So what was going on over there? Finite Singularity made a Lego Stream Deck with breadboard. You could use a few pointers on how to put it together. A Lego Stream Deck with a breadboard. That's pretty easy. I mean, if you get a teensy microcontroller, those are particularly easy. I mean, you're basically making a joystick or like a macro pad. The 100 million, almost every person on Earth has built one of these button pads. Very easy to do, especially if you're using teensy. If you're using the teensy environment, the Arduino environment that Paul Stoffrigan made. It's teensy. You basically have to select in a pull-down menu that you're making a joystick, and then you can assign each of your buttons to a joystick button. That's like 10 lines of code. And some of the teensies have touch controllers built in on an ESP32. Okay, ESP32 also has touch buttons built in. You just look up touch buttons ESP32 to learn how to use those, and then add on to it ESP32 joystick. Bada bing. ESP32 joystick. And then with the joystick stuff, you could also make it a keyboard. You could make it like a Stream Deck. I don't know how Stream Deck recognizes its own. I don't know how it does that. That would take a little reverse engineering if you could make a fake Stream Deck and then just use their software. How do you make something recognize? You could go into, you got to go deep into the settings usually to do this, but you could change the UUID of the touchpad and make it recognize as a Stream Deck. You could give it the same UUID as a Stream Deck. That's where finite singularity excels. I believe that I've heard of finite singularity. Have I? Yes, I think I have. That's a great raid. Who's the other person that does that stuff? Like the banana interfaces and stuff like that? Or am I thinking of, no, that's not the name that I have in my head. Well, any of these people you should follow because they do cool stuff. We don't do cool stuff because it takes me half of my stream to explain what I'm doing. We never get to the cool stuff. So yeah, we need to build this. I have done a little visual aid for myself and taken all of the pinouts and stuff and made them into friendly diagrams of what I have going on. This one is not as friendly. It's not laid out the same way as the chip is. I like having it like where the chip is laid out in a particular way. Because these things are QFN packages, they've got the amplifiers on them laid out in a very strange way. And so when it translates to this breakout that I got over here, when it translates to this breakout, the pin numbers are just cursed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, they're not cursed. It's just the pinout on the chip itself is completely cursed. So that's why I made these things, because it'll help keep my head on straight and I don't have to keep referencing things. So with this up on another monitor, I can actually start building stuff. I should do something as like a button interface. Life is so much easier. These are the breakouts for the amplitude translation things. So a visual aids epidemic. Eek. So yeah, this is how they're laid out inside of those. So the first step with something like this, if we have all of our known hardware out, the first step is basically to hook everything up to power. Now on this interface, I have written with a piece of adhesive, so I don't mix it up, where my powers and grounds are. I treated these as two separate boards. So we've got plus 12 and ground over here, and then we have ground and minus 12, right? So there's plus and minus voltage. What is that? It basically moves your number line. Your number line moves over so that 6 volts, Let's say I had 24 volts. If I call 12 volts ground, then positive 24 to ground looks like plus 12 volts because my ground is at 12 volts. So 12 volts from my 12 volts is 24 volts. With ground at 12 volts, if I look at 0 volts, it looks like negative 12 volts. It's a potential of voltage. And I know that'll blow everybody's brains up all over the place and we got to clean up, but that's how you have to start thinking in those terms. And with synthesizer stuff, we use plus and minus 12 because it agrees very nicely with the op amps that we use. What's up, Flatulent Gonad? I'm finally back. I was in a bit of a rut. I'm back. I'm alive. Everything is not handled and organized, but I am back. Anyway, so we have plus minus 12 volts in ground. It is essentially a 24 volt power supply, but we think of it in plus minus 12. So what I did is I made a little adapter so that I can plug the flat cable, the IDC cable, from the synthesizer tester into this board, and Bob's your uncle, whatever. We got all our voltages on the thing. So this is what these wires are doing over here. They're giving us the plus 12 ground and minus 12, and I made labels so that I don't mess it up. Because, oh boy, doing this, what we're doing right now, breadboarding with plus and minus 12 volts and a bunch of operational amplifiers, this happens to be one of the harder things to keep straight in your head, and I oftentimes will plug things in backwards. So that's just my little diatribe on voltage. Connect everything to your voltages first, then do all the other parts of the circuit. Because I built this mixer before, I've got a lot of the components of this sitting around, and so I've got some particular valued resistors and stuff that I've already sort of cut to shape and put in. From IDC to IDGAF. That's probably what my friends are using and why they keep blowing up their frickin' modules. You guys saw that voltage regulator. It looked like it had been in a gunfight. All right, the knobs are controlling from, well, we'll test that. We'll test what the voltages out of these are to make sure they're in the right range. But the first things first, we come in on our input. That's the amplifier for the final stage. That's the headphone amplifier. So we're not dealing with that yet. So this will probably be our final turn it back into current, or rather turn it back into voltage stage. That's the mixer chip. It has to be an SOP, which is fairly large given that we can, at a maximum, this is as wide as we're allowed to go. So we could barely go wider than the chip itself. The complicated nature of this mixer is going to really get in the way, and I think it's possible that I could figure out how to simplify it. There might be a way that I could simplify it a little bit more. I'm going to keep going with this, though. We're going to make this work. And the less componentry means that I can dissipate the heat better around this headphone amp down here. So, all right. That's where we're turning it into current. And then we go into this mixer. And so I think I've got everything we need to start kind of testing this thing hooked up. Here are our initial amplifiers, and these I have currently hooked up. I don't have an input going into them. Keep in mind that the whole circuit that I showed you guys, that diagram, I have to do double it. I'm not going to build the entire thing. I'm just going to build one channel. But it's a lot. It's a lot. In the CAD program, I'll have the full schematic, but I mean, this is just one of the two channels, and the two channels stay separate throughout their entire journey. So let's check our buffers. Check on your puppies. Where are my buffers at? Burf. If Willow was here, she would have barked because I said burf. Module testing module. That's what this whole setup is. I put this together out of MakerBeam. It's got 3 milliamp meters on it. Milliamp might have been a little ambitious because these things go 100, 200, 300. I probably could have had them go up to 100. That would be a better. One day when I feel like it, maybe I'll see if I can order new ones, and that way they'll be in the smaller increments. And because these needles barely move, these modular synthesizer things are not doing all that much work, so they don't use all that much current. Let's make a little space for this thing back here. I was breadboarding it hard, and I made a mess. We'll just have to test the values of these things when it gets to using them. Yeah, my system of piles is breaking down. We're going to take it step by step because these circuits can get pretty complicated. If we sort of walk our way through, then it helps us know that each subsequent step is working properly. Breadboarding is kind of cursed because you have these very, very cheap clips that are inside of this breadboard, and the very, very cheap clips can very easily have intermittent connectivity. Now, would it be better if I did this in a perforated prototyping board? I probably should, but the structure of the circuit has changed significantly, so. Yeah, swap a resistor to change the range. Oh, in here, maybe. We took one of these apart and there wasn't much stuff inside. Oh, we're finally getting down to brass tacks. Having a co-host is very nice. When Julian comes in here, I get to stop talking for a little bit and regain all the fluids in my face. I'm dried out. I'm a husk. I look like the Crypt Keeper. Okay, so minimal checking up on the circuit. This thing I have already primed for breadboarding. All I need to do is put a jumper wire on the signals that are coming in here. We have our power coming this way. This is from the same power supply as the scope is on. And then I've got routing plugs that I can use in order to get things onto the scope, as well as probes. Probably be using the probes more. So let's get set up with our scope. Oh, geez. Okay. It's going to be a lab setup today, sure. How's everybody doing out there? I think we scared away the raiders, so we've got some peace and quiet. Kind of put away my tools here so I have room to work. An organized bench setup is important. You want to chase away all those little weirdnesses, because remember, we built this thing. I could hold my hand over it and it would affect the output signal. We're only here to make you go. That song is stuck in my head. Get out of my head, Charles. Nothing is easy. Look at this. God damn. I'm so mad right now. Okay, untwist the cables. Let's get these in the background all hooked up. I have stereo breakouts and then I have mono breakouts over here that I could use to route signals around. These don't, actually that would have been really useful is if I gave them the ability to send a single line out. That would have been really good. But we're breadboarding, we're not doing the synthesizer tuning, so maybe these won't be as useful as I think they will. Let's just make sure all our stuff is in place. And I think maybe I need one more probe pin, because I can just plug that in. Yeah, instead of the scope, let's move over to this, or instead of the multimeter. Undo the multimeter hookups and just put that to the side. I did have, during the break while I was gone, I did have Julian come in. He had a bunch of stuff that he needed to fixed, including just little cable splices that he made. So I have been productive, just not in any sort of measurable way. Okay, so this one is our scope out on that channel. I need possibly a fourth channel. Yeah. Let's get the other scope probe out here. Oh, I should put them in there. Instead, they moved over here, but this is also a big mess. So I got to make sure we don't dump everything out. I've got my chest of drawers over here. I got to find the other scope thing. Oh my God, it's such a mess. Why are these over here? These shouldn't be over here. This is all my digital stuff. Down here, maybe. Ooh, that was USB for the face cam. The mixer should be plugged in. Oh no, I can't plug the mixer into that one because it freezes out. Where is that probe? Another drawer. Not there. I thought it would be that one. This one does have scope kind of stuff in it. No. Oh, that pair of pliers needs to not be in there. What is that doing in there? I got to get that one out. Hold on a sec. Oh boy. This is how much I'm losing control of things. A pair of needle nose pliers is in the drawers instead of where it should be in here. Everything's out of whack. Well, maybe it's in there because it wouldn't fit. That means it goes into a lower drawer, though, where there's tools. Put the pliers in there. Okay, I can't, for some reason, find my probes. I'm pretty sure they're in here. I think I put all 4 of them in here. It's just which drawer was the lucky one. Oh, and we got to get the 3D scanner out. I want to scan that steering wheel. I haven't gotten around to that. That's something that we'll do. But I did say, we are going to work on Burn the Subs this month. You guys have my word. We will at least do one stream. I'm going to say one stream, and I want to do more than that. But I'm not going to get away from myself on these predictions. Where are all my scope probes? What the hell? Did I put them somewhere? Well, yeah, of course, everything. I put something everywhere. That's what you do with things. Where would they have gone? Wait, so they're not in this drawer where they should be. Actually, wait, yes they are. Oh, you're there. Okay, yeah, no, never mind. Sorry. I'm losing my mind. Losing my mind, chat. This is where they should be. So the past 5 minutes didn't ever happen. And we'll never talk about it again. Stupid. Sometimes you're dumb. Sometimes you're super dumb. I live in a world somewhere in between those two states. All right, two probes because we're doing breadboard. I have this thing set up to do like the audio cables, and so we could route our stuff through the Thonky Kongs. But I mean, I think it's better if we try to avoid the Thonky Kongs for now, even though our channel 1 and 2 are on. Yeah, let's get these off of headphone plugs. Because we can just, I mean, we can just hook up to here to look at what the source looks like. That way we don't need a ton of headphone plugs running around. So we'll just take channel 1 and 2 out, coil them up, put them in the drawer. Geez, even the connectors are warm. Look at that. The scope is too hot. I need to put a big fan on it. Maybe we should just change topics and go right over to putting a big fan on my scope. I have tons of fans. Let's put a big fan on the scope. I'm not going to change my title. I'm getting concerned at the longevity of this scope sans fan because that was so hot. It was very, very toasty. And I feel like this thing needs better cooling. So I'll put up a thing up there, but right now I'm going to go use the bathroom. And I'll be right back, and then we're going to put a fan on the scope. It's a much more down-to-earth project to do right now. Overlays. Now these should still work. Where is that? Where's BRB? There it is. Nope, it's broken. I gotta go to studio mode now. I totally changed my setup so that everything is scene-based, which of course breaks some stuff that I need to like discover. But now I've got all the overlays in one scene, and that way things stay in the right spots. And it makes it easier for me to point node Reddit stuff too. Of course, it makes it harder for me to find the stuff, and when you have to use the bathroom at the same time, this can get a little bit scary. Here we go. With all the scenes that I have. All right, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna put something on over here so you guys know that audio still works. No, add. That's a 30-second ad, are you kidding me? I need to switch this thing over to Firefox. I'm not BRB yet, but I will be in a second. I do need to make a scene that is a text box. No, I'm not going to do that. It's too complicated. My new setup is not as easy to manipulate as my old one. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Studio mode, go to overlays. I gotta get the Stream Deck working with these overlays. Turn off BRB, back to spring arm. Okay, so. All right, the sandwich I had for lunch. Giving me heartburn at the same time, which is pretty rough. Coincidentally, the music that we were playing was from a Philadelphia event called Heartburn. It's their Valentine's Day dance. I have many, many fans. This is my bin of fans. The fan that we put inside of the oscilloscope, which I'm turning off right now, it was a little bit less powerful than what used to be there. Because I'm running a studio, I'm very particular about what kinds of noise I allow. The Rigol scope is kind of on my shit list, to be honest, nowadays, because they actually locked the digital capability of this thing behind another circuit board. So there's another circuit board that I can get on like AliExpress for like $80. They sell it as a kit for 80 bucks. That will unlock the digital stuff. Or I can get the cable from Rigol, which is $400. I didn't know that was the scheme with this thing. I'm actually very angry at them. I wouldn't have gotten this up model. I thought I was paying more for the digital stuff. Seems like a regular 4-channel scope was all that I needed. But I paid more because this one is night mode and because it has the digital capability. But there was another premium associated with it. Who buys a scope with that function and doesn't use it? It's like, of course we'd want to have digital, like a digital output directly on the front of the fucking thing. That's just the worst. Terrible sales practice. So this scope, when I got it in the mail, we hooked it up and turned it on. Ooh, ah, everything's cool. Made a little bit of a buzzing noise. So what I did is I found on Amazon the exact sized fan. It uses a weird non sequitur size. These fans are standard size, 80 millimeters. 120 millimeters. This is a laptop fan. That would have been a good one to put in there. But they use sort of a standard sizing on all these things, right? This one was like a 60 millimeter fan. It was a non-standard size. So it was actually quite difficult to find the fan for. I happened to find one that is quiet. Problem with it being quiet is that it runs a little bit less heavily. And so as you can see here on the thermal imager, this thing is just a bundle of heat. I don't know what they're doing with the power supply and the graphics stuff on this thing, but that big heatsink, this sort of radial fan heatsink, it's pulling a lot of BTUs. So what I want to do is get a 120 millimeter fan and put that in there. And this one might be the candidate. Now the VESA mount is spaced how far out? I think I could just mount it directly onto the VESA mount. That's a little too big, isn't it? Yeah, it's a little too big. Let's find an appropriately sized fan once I get the cover off of this thing. Now there's only 4 screws, I think, holding on the whole thing. And this screen is actually double-sided taped to its own substrate. So if you open this thing up, behind this screen is just a flat panel of plastic. There's no heat sinking or no like air holes or anything like that. It's just right up against the plastic. Very weird design on this thing. I mean, it all makes sense, but they could have cut us some slack in a couple different places, like making it not loud, for one. I bought this with my own money. I was not sponsored. If I was sponsored, you guys would see me being overly positive about everything about the scope. I'd say everything is super great and wonderful. And that's not because the company tells me to be over positive. That is just code from me to you that I've been sponsored to do something. I haven't had a lot of offers for sponsored stuff. Fusion 360 is pretty much the only company that has contacted me about using their tools as a sponsor element on the stream. Actually, specifically, they told me not to be overly positive about their... So just whatever opinions you have. All right, so 4 bolts on the back, possibly. Yeah, I gotta just remove the boot on that one. And then the whole cover comes off and you can see the sort of low noise fan that I put in. I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. Ugh. Okay, so maybe there's a little bit of dust. Whatever fan we put in here is not going to fit inside of the back cover. It's got just simply a JST plug hooking the fan up, so we can easily crimp our own JST to go in here. And then this, I actually modified this fan to use the 3 bolts. Now, I don't want this other fan in here because I'm not going to power 2 fans. I'm going to have one big fan, and that's going to sit on the outside of the case out here. It makes it a little bit less low profile, but what, you know, where am I traveling with this thing? It doesn't even have a battery in it, so why would I care? Is that the only way to hook up a fan? I wonder what these are. Oh, you know what? I bet they go with this, which is probably the Wi-Fi thing. Or is that memory card? That might be a memory card. Oh, JTAG, and there's a JTAG. You can flip it from Flash to JTAG. I guess that's how they test new software. It's probably what I'm going to have to do in order to get this thing to take a software update, because it did not want that software update that it's got queued up. You got to look up how to do that. One thing that I despise about having a scope that's a little bit more rare, the higher cost one that nobody has. So if there's a problem with it, I have nowhere to turn. The Ragall scopes are pretty popular though, because they're the price point. They're not unaffordable. They are expensive. They are not unaffordable. Test equipment can cost quite a bit. All right, so our clever fan solution is rejected on the grounds that it's just too loud. So get rid of the old, bring in the new. Or are there like burn marks under it? I'm going to put these screws right back into place. Hopefully they don't poke down against stuff that they shouldn't, but I don't want to lose them. Ugh, this one's stuck in the jagged plastic. Hate it when that happens. And then we'll just do our JST plug through some of the holes. I mean, it's not like there aren't ample opening bits. I probably will need a low noise adapter too, because it doesn't look like there's any type of speed control on this thing. I guess I could put a plastic washer in there if I'm really too super concerned about screws poking into stuff. Hey, just think of it as like a cooling finger coming down on whatever it's hitting up against. Ooh, no. I'm putting a piece of plastic in. I gotta put a piece of plastic in. That one started to hit up against something, and I thought, hey, what if it hits 2 capacitors that are next to each other on a power line? All right, let's get some little plastic washers for these. I think I have specifically nylon spacers somewhere down here in all my stuff. And of course, I can't find them. Oh, over here. I got it. It's right in the tub, bro. Those are metal washers. You lied to me. Why did you lie to me? All right, we'll just use these. Yeah. Got them. Keithy bench multimeters? How much are those? I've run into some incredibly expensive test equipment in my day. Stuff from LaCroix mostly, not the seltzer water company. Oh, here's some plastic ones in here. Are these small enough? Yeah, those will do. There you go, plastic washers. Yeah, like you can easily get something that's the cost of a car or a house, depending on what you're doing. If you're getting into like network analysis. For the mixer project, I was like, you know, I could use a network analyzer. I looked up how much even like the most rudimentary one costs. It's like, nope, those are off the menu. Start at 1K. 1K is like almost a joke price. Yeah, when I did the IED stuff, I was like, how much does this oscilloscope cost? And it's like $15,000 in the way that it was configured. Holy shit, 15K. Part of putting the plastic spacers in here is so that I can torque these enough that they'll stay in. So if I come back to this at some point and want to modify it again, all my screws are still in place. Yeah, it's like that slate car. You start with your base model, but if you add stuff, it's going to get egregiously expensive. They haven't really said what the price is going to be on that thing. Everybody was telling me about it because it's like right up my alley. They're like, this is the car for you, Bother. You should definitely get this car. This will be a great truck. And I'm like, I don't disagree with you. I actually really liked it. But it'll start at the price they say, but if you add one accessory, it'll probably balloon out of control. Man, it's hot down here. It's not cold in Philadelphia today. The most expensive multimeter on the website is $15,000. Jeez. So this thing did okay. If I was in cooler climates, this ultra quiet X51 was at least somewhat modifiable for the scope. But the temperature that I saw today when I unplugged those BNC connectors, unacceptable. That was hot. So that's what triggered me to do this right now. So we need to find an alternative fan that's not going to totally bulk this thing to nonsense town. Even the border of nonsense land. Typically it would just be a 120 millimeter fan, and maybe that is the way we go with this. We just put this thing right there, and that's it. Do I have? Well, I've got a fashionable looking one. Those are 80. These are way too big. Here's all the stuff for it. This is for my VR headset. This thing's nasty. Ugh, get that out of here. I think it was under a table for like a long time. I have new face pads and stuff for that. I actually just sourced a second one of the new lighthouses. So I should probably do some VR stuff at some point. Yeah, it doesn't, this is the old fan from my old Rigol. We replaced the old Rigol fan with a newer Rigol fan. Both of my scopes have new fans. This is the largest of this size. I mean, the only other way to go is to use these big flat boys, but they're way too big. I mean, if I mount it like here, the flat boy probably does it better. I think that's louder though. Keithy 2002, 8.5 digit multimeter. Jeez. I don't want to know how much those the equipment racks that we went through, the old Drexel University stuff, those are over here. These guys. I don't know how much those cost new. They're probably ludicrous. It's probably completely ridiculous. Oh my God, why am I burping so much? Jeez. You'd think a guy could eat lunch for lunch and not have his lunch for lunch. Multiple smaller fans? Do like 460 millimeter fans on this thing. We're only here to make you go. That song is just perpetually in my head. I'm never going to get rid of it now. I mean, the trade-off is noise versus volume versus size. And if I did it like this, or like this, pulling air away, I think is the way to go. I think. I don't really know why. I'd have to put this on standoffs because that's rubbing. And then I wouldn't have a grab handle. So yeah, let's preserve the grab handle. Little grabby handly thing. So we'll have this big guy just sitting off of it. Now, what direction do I want to go in? Well, this thing is designed to have air go this way. The stomach is doing chemistry. Yeah, I know. It has a lot of chemistry to do. It's doing enzymatic processes. So that way air's coming out of here, it's coming out of the top, it's going in here, and it's roughly going to be hitting, well, it's not really going to be hitting the same spot, but it'll definitely be getting enough flow. So I don't know, pretty is not the word I'd use with Noctuas, but it's close to the word. Not that pretty there. And I guess what Noctua says is the reason that it's this color is because that's what color the plastic comes in at. They've only recently started to make black fans. It's funny, I don't have a 120 millimeter. I thought I had one for sure. Must have put it in something. Like this one is the most appealing one to use because it's so low profile. I've had them in silent, mostly by virtue of the fact of the plastic that they use. These are quieter. Does that line up with the holes? No, VESA mount is slightly different than a fan. See, these threaded holes are VESA mount. So you can put this thing on like a little arm if you want to. This would be the most slick way to do it. I feel like the fan is also going to be blocking a significant amount of the air that's supposed to come in. But I guess if I put it on standoffs, I could do it like that, and then there's a chance for some airflow. Well, actually, no, it's already technically stood off, so we can just do holes directly to this. Now, do we need to drill new holes? There. These are inaccessible. Put it down here, it'll be very close to the edge. Because I'm close to the edge. Yeah, it does look like it needs holes put. So do we do that, or do we do the smaller one? This probably has more airflow, to be fair. I guess the additional airflow, yeah, we should do this, because then we don't need to drill any holes. All right, so washers and the fan like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Sometimes the decisions make themselves for you. Although a low profile 120 would probably be perfect. I need to get this giant bin out of the way, though. Technically, I could use the Noctua fasteners, too. Although that might lead to bumping into it and having it knock off. Yeah, I'm gonna use bolts to make that a little bit more permanent. So let's get 4 bolts that I can use. And I've got all my hardware just down here. So I'm crouching down. All my hardware is just right there. Bolts and stuff. And junk and stuff. This is going to be too long. It might be too big. M4 might be too big. Let's check. Good to have a bin of super, super long fan bolts. Although they don't really need to be that long. So these are all too long. How about this? Yeah, these are just about M4 sized. Okay, so if I can find 4 of those, they stick through. Not enough in some places. I need this and slightly longer than this. Yeah, these sized bolts get used a lot in machine projects. So they tend to be the most disorganized bin that I have. It's like slightly longer doesn't exist. It's got to be super duper duper longer. That's slightly longer. Okay, I'll keep the bolt bin up here just in case I need it again. And then we've got the washer bin is still up here. Yeah, it is. And then this bin will have bolts in it. A lot of them do. This will have the M4 nuts. And up I go, back up, stand up. There we go. Fan is not doing much for me today. And then even though this one is speed control, we have to get rid of the speed control, add the low noise adapter, which is essentially just a big resistor on the thing. And then we will crimp it to a JST. I mean, I could stuff all the cable back in this area here, but I think having minimizing the cable is probably good for airflow. So we'll do the work, do the crimping. Welcome to my fan modification stream. Didn't expect to have. Now the mounts around the VESA mount are bolstered, so can I get away with that? Looks like I can. Be nice to be able to use just one of them, but okay, so do that, and we'll get a washer around it, and then a bolt, and then I'll see if it fits without doing anything bad to the case. Yeah, that's going to be a weird fit. Of course, I'm going to use the 3D printer in order to make an adapter. Done that before. The area around the VESA mount is kept clear, but this is fairly intrusive. So let's just see what happens if I do it this way. The alternative would be to use countersunks from the other side, and those would be much less invasive. That's actually okay. That doesn't get in anything's way. Okay, good. So far, so good. There's like a space right here. I guess just in case the bolt for your VESA comes in and ruins everything. Hopefully this doesn't loosen up over time. Oh, that's actually really close to the... I could almost get this one in the VESA mount hole. Ah, it's so close. I don't want to mar up the plastic. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. Damn it. I thought I could be super clever. Yeah. Put RGB in it. Where would that hook up? There's a couple spots. Maybe this internal connector down here. Maybe that's what some of this stuff is for. Get this thing RGB. Shining like a Corsair. Yeah, so without using the VESA mounts, I would love to avoid them more, but our fan needs to be roughly the size. Okay, that's fine. That's actually good. That bolt's too small. This one might be in a bad spot, but we'll see in a second. I can see all 4 of the holes that I'm going to use. So okay, so I had to move it over one. The question for the other bolts is, are they going to fit too? Because we've got all this heatsink below it. Just double check this. Okay, that fits just fine. Now I need to get a longer bolt for this one. Which is not something I have. I don't know if I have it. Same size. Longer. Okay. The problem is the longer bolts, they're not slightly longer, they are much longer. So they stick way into the case here. Of course, if I get 2 of these on, maybe I don't need more than that. We'll see. Guess there's worse songs to have stuck in your head, but I really do have this one stuck. It's been in there for 2 days, 3, 4 days, 5 days. Significant amount of time I've spent with this song in my stupid head. Oh, that one, ooh, that gets close. There's a little avoiding area over here that it kind of nestles into. 3D print a VESA mount to 100 millimeter fan adapter. That actually is a good idea. How long is that going to take to print? Let's check. I should have thought of that. Of course, we could also just open up the 120 millimeter standard and the VESA standard and then just put them into Fusion and hit extrude. And then it wouldn't be all this hullabaloo. because that spacer is not needed. Wait, that's 120 to VESA. So then I'd have to use low profile 120 and it would still stick out a bunch. So it's a good idea, and I could probably find something a little bit more minimal. Oh God. No, I don't need it to be a tube. Actually, I already have an adapter, but I don't have extra ones printed. We made a 140 to 120 millimeter adapter for the streaming computer. And the streaming computer seems to be doing okay. Yeah. I probably have all those fan dimensions already in Fusion, so if I could just do like a minimal VESA adapter, that would be totally doable. Ah, it's the cryptid again. Close that window forever. Yeah, now we're just going to continue to bolt this. I don't think, is this 120? I think this is 120. And the other ones are 140? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember. Functionally, this thing is pretty much completely attached. Ugh, I need 2 more of the big guys. It's in the vicinity of the VESA mount. And when it's in the vicinity of the VESA mount, that means that it's got all the bolstered hex things on it. They made like an X pattern around it so that it would hold stronger, so the VESA mount didn't break off. What that means is that I've got to use longer bolts, and there's the chance that these get into a spot where there's something else that it'll run into. Which I could just come from the other direction, and then I'd have four bolt heads sticking out of this thing. I don't think they're this length. I think they're the slightly smaller length that I don't have a lot of. Are these the right ones? Oh, they're way too long. Way too long. Oh, these are the same length. Okay. So this, I don't know if it'll fit. Yeah, I guess I could use shorter bolts if I went right next to the fan. That is just absurd. Jeez. Yeah, there's less faffing about if I use these. Actually, could these come from the other end and sort of hold themselves? Yeah, they can. All right, so let's change of plans. Let's use the countersunk. I have more of the countersunk screws than I do the long guys. The long boys. Shame I can't use the speed control and speed sensor of the other fan, though. Yeah, these will just kind of integrate into the case and they don't infiltrate as much. Nah. This stuff is so fiddly. I mean, if I had a speed sensing, I gotta make like a circuit board with like that 4-pin microcontroller on it. The super duper tiny one. I gotta make a little board like that I can put like a fan connector on and have just this miniature speed controller. It'd be pretty cool if I could, you know, like in this project, just find something that I could put in the path of the cable that allowed me to throttle down the fan so that it cools enough, but it also makes very little noise. That's something that I should have done years ago. That's sort of what the AT Tiny and its ilk are for. I'm afraid of what I'm breaking by tightening this. I guess it's okay. Jeez. Do I have 4 out? Where'd the other one go? No, I need to get another one out. Those are these. And then this can go away because now I have all my hardware out. I'll get back to you. These are just hand tight, so I don't really need a wrench for them. Oh boy, the things you run into. Talk about yak shaving. The yak is dead. You know, like, we've been shaving that yak for nigh on a quarter of a century. I was told there were yaks. I'll bet you there's a Rygolf fan adapter. A fan fiction, if you will, a fan adaptation. So yeah, if Rygolf's selling it, yeah. I just mean these scopes are popular enough that I think people would be doing mods like this. I guess I could have used cap heads on this, and it would have made a little bit more sense. The bolstering is kind of pushing these fasteners to the side, but it's all a little bit discombobulated, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So if I were to not mod the LNA in here, is there a hole to the side? Type C, 24 volts in. There's like a space for an LED next to the USB-C connector. I don't know what that's all about. And then there's like a vent hole near it. Oh, is it because this might actually... Okay, check this out. So, because of the way the scope is, because it is like it is, you know, it'd be like it is, because it do. Because of the way the scope is, there are two little features over here that I find fascinating. Get my light in here. So it gets hot. The scope gets hot. So what they did is they cut a little hole so that it could blow air on your USB-C connector. So you plug in USB-C, and now I don't know what this is. That might be the anchor if you have anchored USB-C cables. But if you plug it in, it powers the whole scope and air is coming out of this right here. That is fascinating. They actually actively cool their USB connector. Because that's what happens to the scope connectors too. They get hot. All right, so minimal intrusion into the main area. And see here, there's the vent hole. I don't know what other purpose that could serve because it's right here. On the PCB, I mean, we got some diodes and some transistors, but they're not really doing, they're not pulling heavy duty. I don't see that, like I don't think that's an LED hole. I think it's like an anchor screw hole. But there's no, you would think they would be anchored to the PCB and not the case, not the plastic case. So I don't know. I think that's what that's doing. I think that hole is air cooling their USB-C connector, which is a wild thing to have to do. But this thing is pushing a lot of BTUs. It gets hot. So we are going to have to cut the connector. I can't just build like an adapter for it. It would be better to build an adapter because then I'm not ruining another Noctua in case I feel like not using this Noctua. We pretty much are married to the functionality of this one. This, through these holes, will probably make a little bit of noise, and I could probably use something on the front of it. Maybe I'll think about that for later. Just put a little thing on the front. I don't think I have extras lying around. No, I don't. It would be good to put something on it, but I guess I'm going to leave it open. We're just going to do this ghetto. So this has to go to there with just a little bit of extra. And then I'm probably going to need a low noise adapter. Let's power this up just real quick. Let's give this thing just plus 12 volts. I guess we could do it through here. Yeah, we could just do jumpers to there. Okay, so get this. Let's get this thing plugged in. We're going to need this in a little bit anyway. Plug that in. Now it's currently off. And then this is modular synthesizer. So minus 12 is there. Ground is in the middle. Plus 12 is all the way up here. So we're going to go plus 12 and minus 12 through a pair of yumpers. Pair of yumpers. Ugh, just ruined that whole thing. Okay, okay. So ground in the middle, plus 12 over here. The non-stripe. The stripe is negative. And then with these, it is yellow for power. Is that right? I think it is. Noctua used to have different colors for their wires because it was like, oh, you're just plugging it into the standard connector. And people were like, stop that. That's bad. We can't figure anything out. Just, you know, you're making computer hardware, stick to the yellow for 12 volts, black for ground. Okay, so no low noise adapter. I can hear a considerable whoosh noise. It's not as abrasive as it could be. Obviously, it's a larger fan, so it's not quite making a huge whoosh. There's significant airflow around this thing now. Do we just send it and go full throttle? It would be much better for the hardware if this thing was always full throttle. I guess I will. Yeah, it's really not that loud. It's mostly the sound of the air moving around. So we'll go with that. Full throttle Noctua. Boy, that feels wrong. In a shop where everything is... Well, let's see what the low noise adapter is like. Where's that thing? Low noise adapter, NARC12. It's basically just a big resistor. Oh, nope, wrong model. This is a different one. They got all kinds of connectors on these fans. Some of them ain't right. This is the Noctua bag. I have been through many Noctuas in my day. Found some mod on the EV blog, but it's just a 3D printed adapter for the mod like we've been seen before. They seem to have screwed to the adapter to the scope, so your solution's more direct. Yeah, personally, I would be making a flat VESA mount using countersunk screws, because then it would just be like 4 little brackets going in. And you could connect them if you wanted to, but you could also just leave it as 4 little size adapter brackets. This is not a big, like a 120 millimeter though. And how loud is that big 120? It's all gross though. All right, let's see how. I mean, I could go 140. No. How loud is this flat fan? Where's this flat fucker? There it is. How loud are you? This thing would be harder to mount, but it also fills the whole thing. This one's positive. Yeah, most of what I'd hear from this one would be air rushing. It is a larger fan. It's probably moving a higher volume, but it would sound much different flat up against that thing. Can't really decide. But it would also, the scope would be a minimal depth still. Not that this is a bunch of a trade-off. It doesn't really matter. I don't know. What do you guys think? Make a decision for me. Do I use the totally flat one? I would have to drill holes for this one, actually. That decision was made for me. Yep. We're not drilling holes yet. Maybe one day. Or, you know, if I make an adapter, but then I lose the low profile, it would be as thick as this thing, but it would be a much larger fan. All right, so let's see. Low noise adapter. guys can't hear it because of the way that my mic is gated, but I get to listen to these and figure out which one I like. Yeah, we should run the low noise adapter, aka a resistor. There's still a lot of air, but it's not whooshing in the way that it was before, so I think this is a good one. Maybe one day we can set aside a day to actually design a VESA to 120 millimeter mount, and then I can get all that stuff in there and make it like super minimal and use countersunk M4s. Because if you countersink those, then you can put the fan down on top of it and then screw directly into plastic for the fan mounts, and then everything's just done. Also, if you leave it open, that means, will it get, no, not really. It's already kind of open. Yeah, all right, low noise adapter it is. We'll see what the temperatures are like. I forget what the end result was of the last time we sort of screwed around with this stuff. All right, so now I actually need making stuff tools. So this only needs to go to here. What I'm doing is basically just plotting out the path of this wire, cutting it a little bit longer than it should be. I'm not trying to get it exact, but cut that. Get rid of this stupid jacket. I don't know why they put these on everything. The wax attracts dust. Oh, and this actually is a bonded flat cable. That's nice. So yeah, this should be pretty easy. Ah, my hand is cramping. Ah, ha ha ha. Okay, oof. That's what I get for having diabetes. What's my blood glucose level doing? This scene doesn't have it. What? Oh yeah, this doesn't have it. Let's add the scene. Add existing. Oh, I didn't make one. Oh, there it is. Framed blood glucose. There we go. It's 208. Why am I getting cramps? No, that doesn't work. Cutting that wire hurt me. Yeah, listen, you get over it eventually when you're doing this kind of stuff. Is that a Noctua fan? Yes, it is. I swear by these things. I like my Noctuas. They're made out of heavier plastic. They're quiet. They don't move as much air, but I'm not broken up about that. I know it was like a fresh Noctua wire, and I cut it, and I'm going to do it again. What I'll do is separate these out, and since these are all together in a flat thing, I'll just cut these a little earlier. And I don't need to put something around this because it's all bonded together. I can drop into the case right here and then just put this over to where it needs to go. I do need to do this out here. We're doing this because this little, it's basically a tablet with some electronics added to it. It's essentially a tablet. I mean, that's what this whole oscilloscope is. It's kind of cool that way. But what I'm doing is getting rid of the old fan because it was loud and putting in my own because it is quiet. But in doing so, I found this special quiet fan that was just the size of the one that goes on the heatsink. You see, what they had is a fan with no shroud that moved air down and out radially. A laptop fan would be a really good candidate to go in there because laptop fans push air outwards, but finding the right one would be difficult. So I modified this fan to push. It's essentially pushing down into the heatsink, which is not an ideal, path for air to go. Push down into the heatsink and then out. If I had one that had horizontal fins that just pushes air outwards like an impeller, that would have been good. We had no choice though. I couldn't find anything. The nuclear option is just putting a big ass fan on the back end of this thing, and we'll figure something else out later. So now I've got just this huge honking fan sitting on the back of it, and that's for longevity. I paid a lot for this scope. I don't mind it having an external fan, but Oh, we still need to do the low noise adaptation thing too. We need to do the low noise thing. So share a secret with you guys. These low noise adapters are just a big resistor in shrink wrap. So we're essentially going to do that to this cable on the power line. So let's just take their resistor. I could just take the resistor value and put my own in there. Not like I don't have resistors. I don't need to destroy more stuff. But here I am destroying more stuff. Remember a fan I had, super loud at full power, would try to fly like a drone. It sounds like a Delta fan. That's what those Deltas are. They suck up amps and amps and essentially try to fight you. Ugh. So the best way to get this off now that I've put a score line on it is actually to get a pair of pliers. Ugh. So this stuff is behind the other stuff and I can't get to the stuff. Take a pair of pliers to the side of the barrel of the resistor and let it slip and it'll pop open the shrink wrap. I was stuck on there a little bit more than I thought. All right. I'm going to keep this little piece of wire here. Turn on the iron. We'll just replace this upper piece. All right, come on, stop shaking. Jeez, why is this not? There we go. That took a fight. Redo this. Okay, get this over here. My iron's like not transferring heat today. It's weird. All right. All right, everyone's a critic. So now we want to take this wire down to here. Yeah, it's going to be kind of intrusive. Yikes. All right, well, I guess we'll pick up on everybody but ground. Yeah, that needs to separate. So much for my bonded wires. Give that a little twist, keep things from fraying. Get some solder. We don't have to do the shrink wrap first because we can slip it on from the other side with this. I may just use the torch to shrink wrap it because I don't want to plug in. I like the hot air gun a lot, and maybe it would be nice to have one that's battery powered, but because the hot air gun is a lot to just get out and stick on. If I had a different desk setup, I might have it plugged in permanently. But it's so good for doing shrink wrap to have that hot air gun. But it's such a hassle. It's find a piece that's vaguely long enough. That is almost exactly the size, and I don't know if I like that. Because it'll slip out on the ends. Plus, I think it's too big. Find a smaller piece of shrink wrap. It's the most common size of shrink wrap, which is why I don't have any of it. Get the more complete kit. This one. Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen people with the hot air gun that is battery powered. It's kind of crazy. We don't need to color match this, but I'm going to color match it. I assume it probably wrecks those Li-ion batteries, though. Is this still too big? No, it does like a jump in size. Yes, this is fine. 3/16 of an inch. Yeah, it uses those drill batteries, and it probably wrecks it. But like, all kinds of stuff uses the drill batteries now. All kind of stuff. I don't know if this is going to shrink enough. That's where the hot air gun would excel instead of using the torch. Try to stay away so I don't boil my shrink wrap. Probably just hot enough ambient around here for the shrink wrap to fully express. It's a hot day. That's a hot look. I ain't mad at that. See, and then this is the conundrum, is that I think the shrink wrap has shrunk all it can shrink, but I don't know. I'm not sure. And so I want to put the heat to it a little bit more. But you can see I just put a burn mark in the wire. I should just wrap it in Captain tape and be done with it. Could the smaller size of shrink wrap fit on this? Well, with the worm, I guess I can just pinch it, and then that's done. All right, good enough. Low noise. I could have stuffed those in there too. I guess I probably should have done that, but here we are. Mistakes were made. So just get a little bit of a piece of wire stuck out the end, and we're going to use the crimper to put a JST connector on this thing. The red wire is on the left. We'll just try to get that right. Oops, I used the wrong size. Twist the wires so they don't fray outwards if you bump them. Okay, and then the crimper, we get the common crimper. It's this guy right here. The Presivia should do the trick. Heating it like you're drying hair. Yeah, well, that's what so the torch keeps me from doing what I just did, which was burning the wire a little bit. JST 2.54 millimeter. This one is garbage, but I'll just get 2 of the crimps out of it. I'm stealing your crimps. I should probably transfer those to the other JST bin. I have many bins full of JST connectors. They're 2.54 inch space, so they work with the custom, perf board projects, and they're common enough, and they carry just about enough current to do most of the jobs that I need connectors to do around here. Always build a wiring harness. Don't skimp on that. Wires directly to boards are just a future fray. We crimping? Yeah, we're crimping. We're crimping. I'm crimping. I don't know what you guys are getting up to. I never know. You guys are into all this shady stuff. You never tell me about it. I don't get included. I think, you text me. I'm just a phone call away. All right, so we're going to use the smallest size, and it's going to be the overlapping one because these are small wires. So I need this to crimp just right. No, we're talking low noises and low sound. And it's literally just a resistor on the fan cable. Yeah, noise could be a lot of things, but no, we're just talking the low noise adapter is just a big ass resistor on the line in order to reduce the amount of power that goes to the fan itself. And when you reduce the power, the fan controller does its best to just, you know, keep up. So the fan spins a little slower. Nope, nobody asked. Didn't ask. How's that look? I want a little bit of the jacket of the crimps to go up into... Oh my god, there's so much stuff. This is like flatulent gonad setup. I'm all overlapped on myself. You could do like one of those soil analyses or one of those like layered rock things where it's like, oh, this is this century. This project is here. And this one's here. This is dog hair. Dog hair everywhere. So this is sort of what I'm looking for. I want the jacket to stop before that last crimp, but this appears to be making enough contact. And for a fan, it's very low current, so we don't need to totally stress that. But it's important that the jacket gets beyond this little crimp right here, because that little crimp is for holding on to the plastic, so it bends with the plastic and not the metal. The metal is weaker than the metal and plastic. Dog hair is ESD related. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting any clean room status for this shop. Oh, great. I just rearranged something in OBS and now it's all stupid. Hold on. What the? No, go side by side, you stupid. Oh, God. Okay, hold on. Ugh. I moved something and now it's all wrong. This. No. Oh, I guess I need to do it this way. I need to grab this one and go over here. There. Jeez. If you change these interfaces, and I'm not used to it, my whole show suffers. That's why they have locks. Did I lock them? Can I lock those? I don't see a lock on that. I need to lock everything down. That's what I did with some of the scenes. I have actually locked a bunch of stuff, so I can't mess everything up. Yeah. I should lock into broadcast mode, you're right. No, it's sideways. Okay. Yeah. Camera's loose. Right of the name. I know these locks, but the windowy things. Yeah, those lock, sure, but I'm talking... Yeah, I know these lock, but no, this is what I'm talking about. Because it did that. Which is like, is there a lock for that? There probably is. I don't know where it is. Probably deep in settings. You can lock everything else in the scene and make it totally baby-proof, except the major functionality windows can't be locked. That seems a little... I bet there's something you can do to lock it in place. I don't know what, though. Maybe in the little settings dialog. Okay, so I crimp the little metal piece until it grips in there, and then the wings that are for the jacket will bow outwards a little bit. And so this thing is ready to receive the wire. The next thing I do is I measure with my pinchy fingers to the center of the die, because that's where the two different size dies are. Now the hard part is getting it into the right position precisely where I was, because there's the piece of metal on the top and the bottom of the die. But yeah, this goes in here carefully until I'm approximately at that distance. Crimp, and then we can take a look at it on the microscope. That's the method that I've come up with. It's the only good way to get that stuff. Click docks at the top and then lock docks. Docks at the top. Oh, all the way up here. Docks. Lock docks. Hey, look at that. One more layer of protection from misclicks. It doesn't lock resize. Oh boy. Hold on, I gotta tighten you guys down. It's like breaking your neck. Okay, there you go. That always loosens up. I think I tried thread locker on that and it just doesn't work. Okay, so the connector. Oh, I need to get the old fan that I tossed over here. Where did it go? I mean, I guess I can look at it on the circuit board to see which one is which. We're only here to make you go. I don't know where the old fan went. Well, let's see if there's any signs of markings here. For all the engineering that goes into this scope, seems like they could have had a speed controller, a bowl fan. Looks like a big FET. And then I was saying that the red wire was on the left. So pin number 2. Is that going into a ground? Pin number 1 seems to be on the output of whatever that switching element is. Because it is just a JST. This fits in. Yeah, just a JST. Well, okay, I gotta find that other fan in order to figure out which pin is which. It's not as readily apparent from the PCB as I would like it to have been. But I just casually flicked the fan aside towards my bin full of fans. Did it land in the bin full of fans or did it roll away from it? It rolled away from it. So now it's in this big pile of mess. Big old stinking pile. There's one of those night vision cams in here. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, from the dash, yeah, red is on the left. Okay. No politics. How many engineers does it take to design a scope? Probably more than one, although actually it doesn't take any engineers. The audio dudes who do modular synthesizer stuff have designed scopes. So you don't even need to be an engineer. Oh, I didn't pinch these. Part of my process of making these crimps is pinching them because the Presivia makes it just a little bit too wide for their bins. So if I get a pin tool, I can just smash this thing in there. Because I just want to be done with this. I want to be done with this. This has taken us too long. Mostly because I am annotating everything that I do. I'm telling you guys everything that I'm doing. If I was just working, it would be a lot faster. But yeah, as soon as... Brillenschucker! I love that name. It sounds like a Brillo. It makes me think of like a Brillo pad. I don't know what Brillenschucker does it carry any meaning? It's just what's in a name? Thank you so much for subbing for 33 months with a Prime. So yeah, this is a little sloppy. I don't like it. The black wire is a little too short. The yellow wire is just a little bit too weird. Maybe I should have put something around the whole thing in order to hold it together, but my capacity to care has just about run out. Probably the next time I take this thing apart, it'll probably completely separate. It's a chance that because the way the wire is crimped, you have the metal part of the crimp here, and there's all this excess wire sticking out of the front. So when I plug it in, it might make too much pressure with the metal pieces of this connector. That first plug and unplug of a JST is your danger zone. You want to simply only touch the plastic. But I've had entire setups that have completely torn themselves apart on that first unplug because I had too much overrun in the wire. I think this should be okay. It's kind of thin wire. It's of course not carrying a lot of current. So I'm just apt to leave it exactly the way it is. There's other things I can do in order to make this more professional, but they take time. And so I want my scope to go back together. There are optional plugs that I don't have. one PCB, one unified PCB across various products, and so there's missing stuff. There's like an add-on board. This looks like an M socket with a thing up here too. This seems like there could be like a card right there. And of course I wouldn't have the software to run whatever the addition is, but I just think it's fascinating that there's so much that could be done. I love how there's a hole right here. This hole is to cool off the USB-C connector. It has to be. There's no other reason to have that hole there. It's fascinating. All right, so that goes like that. This goes into that cavity. Everybody closes up all right. That wire is kind of intrusive. Bring it over a little bit more so you don't see it. Beauty. So we get 5,000% more cooling capacity on this thing. And that should hopefully lead to the longevity of my $1,000 scope. Paid way too much for this fucking thing. The price, by the way, it's down hundreds of dollars from when I got it. When I got it, it was new and they were like, 1,000 monies for the new scope. And so since then they were like, ooh, maybe we should bring the price down. Even in spite of everything getting so expensive, it was like $600 for this scope. I'm going to continue to call it my $1,000 scope because I will be forever burnt by that. That's $400 that goes into that name. So when I spit the name Rigol, you'll know why. All right, these are this thingy. Ugh, so much dog hair in this. I need to do a dog hair sweep. I've been trying to keep up posting pictures of Willow and stuff. Just keep my online presence somewhat still alive. All right, logs out, protected. Now we can overclock our, no, we're not going to overclock it. This thing is going to be a magnet for dust though. So I need to consider if I want to put like a screen on this fan. So it's what direction? Oh yeah, the air goes down and in. And it needs to go down and in because it needs to actually reach out to all of the different spots. So this will go that way, down, blanket of air, and all the vents will be the low pressure zones that it ejects from. So hopefully we see a significant reduction in temperature. These come over this way. I need to untangle these power cables. Amazon mistakenly sent me a $75 charger for like laptops and stuff. And so I'm using it with the USB-C for the scope as well as for the music stuff. Pretty good power supply. Don't think I would spend that much on one. If you sweep or vacuum, you'll lose all those SMD components that I'm looking for. The one voltage regulator that was like the perfect voltage regulator that I had, some got into my head and I moved it over this way and then I gripped it weird and it bounced off of my leg and vanished. It was gone. I looked everywhere. Anti-gravity technology. Is my scope gonna fly at me? All right, power it up. Fan's going and I can't hear it at all. Yeah, that is legitimately low noise. There's no sound coming off of that. I have a song stuck in my head. I always do. This time it's Chemical Brothers. So we're watching this thing on the thermals. The Rigol takes a full minute to boot up. Well, it's like 58 seconds. So, you know, maybe it's not a full minute, but I'm rounding up because I get to, because you just wasted 58 of my seconds on this earth. Gone soon shall be my mortal coil, but not for the hastings of waiting for Rigol to boot. This was a Canadian, a boot. Ah, side cramp. Oh, you bastard. Ah. Oh, why are my muscles cramping today? It's diabetes. Diabetes does that. Build up more of the cramping juice in my muscles. All right, so the scope is fine. It actually isn't even telling me there's an update. Go here. System. Where's system? Storage, auto, measure, record, utility. And then somewhere in here, a boot. That's just the Android version. I need to see to updating this thing because one of the updates broke it. Self-check. Board. Okay, so there's our CPU temps and stuff. I can, of course, pull this up on the screen and it won't have all that stuff. What's up, Lawn Dog? Had to go out into the world, but I'll be listening while I'm using my cell phone. All right, well, you don't have to do that. It's very okay to just turn off Twitch. Healthy, in fact. Hey, you guys come back out here a little bit so we can observe this on thermals. And then I'll pull the scope up here. The other thing about doing this all in scenes in the way that I'm doing is that I can just kind of toss these elements around as I see fit. I'll have to work on rounding the edges of this one later. But it means I can just pull these windows up into any scene and it doesn't mess up. Oh, that froze? Come on, man. Properties, not filters. What's up, Hollow? What is this? Transition, filters. Oh, do I need to actually like pull it up in order to... This is a difference in the way things work. So what I want is... refresh the cache of the page. Oh, did it get a different? No, it didn't. Okay, there it is. Jeez, this is weird. I had to jump into studio mode to get it to do stuff. This text is hard to see. That song is just stuck in my head. So our temps, what were we before? One of you might remember, because currently they're in the 40s. This thing hasn't warmed up yet, though. It's got to kind of stay idle for a little bit. Unfortunately, it puts this huge fan on the back of the scope, but there's definitely airflow coming out of all the vents right now. Yeah, but the refresh on active, because my scenes are nested within scenes. So when I'm pulling this thing up, I'm actually pulling up a scene that has this in it with the frame around it, which maybe I need to change. But yeah, I'll need to figure that out, you know, what the process is for refreshing stuff. Because I basically just want it always to be active, which means my OBS is doing more stuff. I wonder if that'll take up more memory. I guess it's splitting hairs. It's just a web browser source. So we are yeeting a whole bunch of new air into this thing. Way more than before. The scope is unfortunately a little bit more bulky. It's not that bad, but if I do get a low profile fan, if I get a low profile 120, I could maybe fit it inside in between the heatsink and the... Oh no, because of those 3 fins. There are 3 fins on the heatsink that stick a little bit further out. So I don't think I can actually fit a low profile 120. That would be cool though, if I could do the adapter to the VESA mount from the other side, and then I could have that fan in there. But this is fine. You know, my old scope was much thicker than this thing, and it's not like it's starving for space in its area. But now I can use this thing without it burning my cables. Those were, and you guys probably didn't catch this when I was using it earlier, is that I took those BNC connectors off of this thing, and those don't have plastic around them. And so it was full temperature of the scope getting into the BNC. They were hot. And I commented on it, and I showed you guys it just briefly. That was a major decision point. I saw the heat coming out of that thing, and I said, absolutely not. Not on my watch. I am not going to let my scope get that hot. I thought it would be totally fine, but my new scope is thicker than that. Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Actually, it might be. Bowls are kind of, we get deep bowls in this house. Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal putting a fan like this on the back of the thing. I shouldn't care as much as I do, but you guys know how into stuff I get. So I'm already thinking of like solutions on fitting a full-sized box fan between the heatsink and the back grating here. Or go full slim 120 millimeter with a VESA mount. That would be a way to go too. I could turn this into an accessory plug for the fan. Nah, you know what? Just leave it like this. This fan is going to give me a whole lot of longevity to this thing because it won't have such harsh heat cycles. They made it too thin. The old scopes were thick for a reason. This is essentially a tablet with a button interface added to it. It's a tablet with a button interface and maybe some slightly better analog inputs, right? And the digital this just pisses me off. I bought this thing for its logic analyzer, right? I spent the extra money. The price difference between this scope now and when I bought it is the cost of their logic adapter. $400. $400 for the thing that I plug into here and I hook up to the logic analysis stuff. There is a DIY interface for this. It's $87. What the hell? I bought this. I spent more money for this. And I don't get to use it. Not anytime soon. All the cheap scopes are based on Android tablet chips for the UI. What do you think we're looking at down here? This is a Android interface. Last time I hit upgrade, the scope didn't upgrade for 24 hours. It didn't do anything. And I'm a little worried about that. Like, where do I get that info? What's all my IP address? It's okay if you guys see that. It doesn't matter. Yeah, here we go. Android build. 2023, 823. Oh boy, I'm a 2-year-old Android build. Launcher 1.06, web UI and all that stuff. Hardware version 8. This is an earlier model too. Firmware is 1.0. And there's no memory card interface, is there? I could plug in like an adapter and plug to the USB on the back. But I guess getting all information out of the scope is done through the web UI. There isn't actually Android running on most scopes. Let's see, Owan Hantek, just Linux. Oh, this is actually, this has an Android build on it. Hold on, what's my, yeah, IO is 223. So maybe I have another interface in the web interface that'll allow me to do an update. Okay, we got all that stuff. Why is this in Chinese? What? Oh, weird. I go web. I'm seeing if I can update the software on it. Why is it in Chinese? Wait a minute. Now it's in English. There we go. Jeez. Digital oscilloscopes. Yeah, everything's better than what I have. This is UltraVision 2? What is this? UltraVision, just normal, 12-bit. Models and pricing. Actually, what is the price of this thing now? This is not the DS1000. This is DHO 914. DHO 1000 900. They don't sell it. You bastards! They don't sell my scope anymore. DHO 900 series 914. $659. I got this thing for $1,000. Damn it. Don't look at the price tag after you buy stuff. Close all these windows. I hate everything. God damn it. We're going to try to do the update. Let's see if we can. So, main menu. Upgrade. DHO 800 900.gel. And I can't really select anything here, right? When I click OK, and then accept, it just kicked me out. There it goes. So updating, please wait, just sticks. What is that? Hello, how are you? Is that what that said? I can't read that. I have to use Google Translate. $600 without the logic analyzer. No. This was $1,000, right? It didn't come with the logic analyzer. You need a $400 thing to plug in. I did not know at the time. Although it would have made sense if it came with the logic analyzer, but I didn't get that. They did not send me anything like that. Unless I have it sitting in a drawer. Is that what I bought? Or is that what I should have gotten? I'm starting to see maybe where I may have gone wrong with this thing. Do I have that logic? I still have all the packaging for the Rygal scope. Hold on, let me go get the packaging. All right, let's see here. All the packaging. Yeah, no, it didn't come with it. I spent all that money. I got ripped off. This came in this. Product warranty card. Yeah, unless I missed it and threw something out. I don't think I did, though. No, this is old toy. This is the scope that I got for my birthday 1 year ago. And it was the early run of this scope. I spent a lot of money on it. Wait, do I have 2 warranty cards? Wait a second. Plot thickens. No, it's just 1 warranty card. It's all in Chinese. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel for how much I got fucking ripped off. Just the box order. Well, you know, it's a new thing. There would be a chance that it would need to be warranted. Rygal, DHO 914. Power cord, UL. PR China. Got an invoice number, but no, there's nothing about the logic cable being included. Even though I paid the price of this scope plus logic cable, I didn't get the logic cable. The price just went down significantly on them at some point after I got this thing, which is very unfortunate. Kind of pissing me off a little bit that I don't get logic stuff with it. And I'm trying to update the software and it appears to be frozen. How about you cancel? Oh, then it went away. Okay. What in the hell is going on? All right, let's take a look at the temperatures. There's like a dot on the screen right there. 50-50. I think we were at 60-60 before. I think. I mean, just looking at well, it looks like it used to, where it looks like it's on fire. But that's just because the whole thing gets warm. No, I haven't tried USB stick, and I don't know where I'm supposed to get the update from. I was trying to do the self update. The only USB port that there really is here is this one, which is a USB-B. And I looked to see if there was any sort of online method, but yeah, 60 is unpleasant to touch. That's about where we're at. But that's the board temp, not the outside stuff temp. The outside stuff temp was uncomfortable to touch. It was bleeding heat out of the connectors, out of the BNC connectors, to the degree where when I unplugged the metal BNC, it was kind of like, wow, that's hot. Like, why is that hot? So we put a much better fan on the thing. It's a little intrusive. It does kind of stick out a little bit, but it's still kind of within the feet. So I guess it's okay. I pivoted. We were going to do audio stuff today. We were going to work on that mixer. It's cursed. The mixer's cursed. Every time I try to work on it, there's always like a small job that's much bigger than its scope. Extrusive. I've never used that word, but it does sound right. Externally intrusive. Yeah, so I think that's much better. The cables are going to get less hot when plugged into it, and I will have my needlessly expensive scope much longer. Look at that. You can see the heat getting into the USB-C. How this is glowing. But there's a little peephole right next to it. I don't think there's USB-Cs that want to like grip external plastic. Plus none of it's bolstered. So it's like, is that there just as an air vent? Is that there just to bleed off a little bit of air at your USB? It's just going right into the USB-C connector, just to keep it from getting too warm. Is that actually the effect though? I'm not seeing, I mean, it's certainly not cold air coming out of there. So maybe that's not, maybe I'm overselling it a little bit. Batronics site for your scope, you can download firmware from it. BA-tronics. Are you giving me virus.exe? Rygall, English, private customer. Okay. Oh, well, not in Germany. United States of, well, Salvador's on America. Where's America on the list? LMNOPQRSTU, USA. They're just a seller. That details, yeah. That's for you. So yeah, the 914S is probably the one that they're trying to get everybody to. Single channel AWG, what's that? Second, sleek design, support type C power, Bode plot, standard digital channels. I don't know if I'd choose this model if I had to buy again, but I certainly would love to buy again because the price has dropped so significantly. If you look, you got the logic analyzer here, $299. That's in euro. The Rygall bag, which is only $60, 60 euro bucks. Training and demonstration board for oscilloscopes, 178. Look at that price though, that's crazy. That's what I need in order to run logic out of this thing. Or you can get one from AliExpress. Oops, I didn't mean to search Ali. I'm not that much of a weirdo. Let's look for Rygall. Hello? God, get out of my face. Logic analyzer. Show me the probes. Maybe it was on eBay, but there's like a DIY logic adapter. Rigol logic adapter. Nope. $75. $75. $200. So this is just somebody's kit, and it involves just adapting to whatever the hell these things are that run it into the scope. And so you've got all your logic channels on it. Hey, I could reverse engineer it and figure out what all the stuff is, but $75, I guess, is $75. I might end up buying this at some point. Do I trust the eBay thing? It's coming from a bunch of different sellers, I think. There's a bunch of different versions of it, I think. But you can buy it in a couple different flavors. Yano Cat! Thank you for subscribing for 10 months. Thank you. Appreciate that. I got the ideal light working over here, so I've got like red in the side of my face blasting at me. Pay attention, bother. Stuff's happening. Quit having an existential crisis about logic analysis. Is it just from one seller? Rigol logic. No, it's a bunch. I have no idea what those chips might be. If you're curious, rather have an idea where to look. Should I look? I've only been able to find them on eBay alongside of the regular ones. 75, 49 is, I don't know, it's somewhat reasonable. This amount of money doesn't go very far these days anyway. But yeah, it seems to be a fairly common thing that people sell. And they're getting a pretty premium price from it. But apparently that's what I need in order to run logic into my scope. If we ever have a big digital project that's going to need me to reverse engineer some kind of a protocol, it happens every now and then. That's not an unrare thing to happen. I don't have the budget that I used to for the show. So this would be something that I'd be buying myself upon finally getting the board running again. The burn the subs board. Because the subs aren't rolling in as like they used to. So I'm fairly limited these days. Anyway, that's just looking at my scope and letting it get up to temperature in the meantime. I'm going to have to figure out how to update the software on this thing because it doesn't like to update. I guess it was so early in the run of the 914. Should have gotten the 914S. Then I would have the 2-valve turbo or whatever. The 914S early Audi engine. I think it was mid-engine. Another link for updating. Oh, what's this? How would I get the file over? Hold on, let's see. So let's pull this back over to here. See if we can get a software update into this thing. Rigol digital oscilloscope 914. Quantity 1, $649. Whatever, give me all the cookies. Model, feature video, accessories, software, and firmware. Firmware downloads, software download. Wait, what's the difference? Ultra Sigma. Oh my God, we're Super Sigma. All right, let's get version 1.04. One of these days. Onto a USB stick. Where do I plug this stick into? Oh, there it is. There's a slot. I found it. All right, do I have a thumb drive sitting around? Some of these have like mem test on them, so I don't know how compatible they are. Windows flashing drives. That one has... What is that again? This one is a new one that has Basite or something. Basite. This one just says mem test on it, so I don't think it's formatted weird. Got lots of USB sockets over here. This is the simplest of things. It takes on... Okay. USB's there. Is the file downloaded? It is. Show me the folder. And the same file swoop. Oh my God, look at all that stuff. Copy. And wait a minute. Which one is it? Oh no. Nope, don't format that. No, cancel. Geez, not accept. Cool, that's great, wonderful. Let's go to this one. Cancel. Nope. Okay. Okay, I get it. Can't access it. USB drive D, G, and H. Oh boy. USB G. No, cancel. Don't format it. H. Nah. You bastards. We must have used this for something. That's cursed. Yeah, the drives are kind of weird today. If that only held Mentest and or some kind of a other USB key stuff, I can always redo it. So let's just format it again. If it's even the right drive. I don't trust myself with this drive here. Wait, drive D? Nope. I don't know. It's just, okay, thumb drive, you're out of here. You've totally, there they go. Scarlet 2i2 has its own drive. Why does it have a drive? Okay, so my USB drive situation is completely bad. I could plug in this big one and format it. This one was moved over to Linux stuff. Let's see if this will work. Well, it would probably show up in full on the detected with its size, I guess. This one is just not showing up. It's just not here. Oh boy. Love it. I love it. Try plugging it in again. This is the one that I formatted my little tablet computer with. Format the disk H before you can use it. I think that was a new message. That wasn't the old one. Yeah, it's got Linuxy formatty stuff going on, and boot drive formatty going on. So we gotta reformat this one. You know, thumb drives like grow on trees these days. Unfortunately, I have not visited those trees. I can't get into it. Why is this so hard to do? Hold on, I'm gonna search for another. I have to be able to find a thumb drive around here somewhere. I have a bunch of drives sitting down here. What are you? You're just some random Win 10. It just says Win 10 on it. All right, Windows 10. I'm reformatting you. Wait, maybe I've got an older one. This is so cursed. You know, you don't need thumb drives for anything anymore. So you just don't find them anywhere. And I don't throw stuff out enough. I should be throwing more stuff out. I could use this, a SanDisk, 16 gigabyte SanDisk Ultra. Yes. Okay. And I'll put that into this adapter. Okay. Here we go. Oh, that's USB 2. USB-C. I can't use that. Fuck. All right. Win 10 it is. As if I'd be formatting anybody in Windows 10 anytime soon. It's going to be like, this drive's formatting sucks. Or you asking this thing to mount a USB-C, USB 3.0 thumb drive apparently is too much. Just be glad you don't have to use a CD like a CNC machine. Jeez. There's all kinds of, don't they have all kinds of like modern adapters for those that emulate things like floppy drives? Because for a while, all the old machines they were buying up floppy drives for. A lot of machines still use them because they're just what works. Are you kidding me? It doesn't even show up here. Wait, it's thinking. Nothing. What's up, Foob? Oh, the sub made it so that this stops scrolling. Okay. We're trying to put a thumb drive in. Wait, what's going on? It's thinking. The machine is thinking. No, it stopped thinking. None of my stuff works. None of this stuff works anymore. Thumb drives don't want to work anymore. Ah, a doll hand. There it is. No, wait, no, there not is. Where it is. Do thumb drives just stop working after like a set date? Is that what's going on here? Because that's what it feels like. Any thumb drive that I haven't just bought is dead. Does the memory on them get crusty? Yeah, kind of knock the cobwebs away. That didn't work either. Didn't work either. Nothing works. Nothing works. Let's do one of the SanDisk memory cards. Maybe that'll work. In an adapter that I've got sitting over here. Adapter for punch cards and punch stripes, network similar or similar is really easy. Problem is that floppies are only dump flat cassettes. What? Oh! New disk in drive D. Well, project has gone all the way to Z. Storage is at F. Oh, that's a network location. So F, E, USB drive on D. All right, let's format it. Bring it to a priest. It's cursed. It's got a curse. FAT32, 15 gigabytes. Quick format. I guess so. Start. Do it. Just do it. All right, so drive D will finally be a proper Windows storage device. That will, maybe I'll have a Windows 10 install go bad and it'll have to be reformatted again, but is it actually able to do anything to this drive? We had 4 machines using floppies and every machine had its proprietary way to write data to the floppies. Weird. I thought there would be emulators for that sort of thing. Oh, no emulators work on them. Weird. Yeah, I don't know anything about that kind of protocol with whatever the IDC cable is doing with drives. Like how that works, how the computer communicates to the big connector on the back in order to get it to do the job that it does. I don't know nothing about that. Back to downloads folder. And we want to get this big ass software update. Cut that. And then we go back to the USB drive D. Paste. Is this drive totally cursed? It said it formatted it, so maybe it's okay. Yeah, I don't think I was storing my Bitcoins on that drive. That's a hell of a place to put Bitcoins, huh? Considering they just go bad. Holy crap. Why did that eventually go through? What is going on with the speed thing? Why is it bumping it down? What the fuck is going on? What? How degraded is this drive? What in the world? And I'm trusting this with a software update? It's mad. It's crazy. They said it couldn't be done, so I did it. It's trying to impress me. I would be impressed if my files went onto this drive at all. Oh my God. I don't trust it. We're going to do a SanDisk. We'll just do a little SanDisk and an adapter. An unexpected error. There's a problem with this drive. Skip. Don't do it. Just get out of my way. That was cursed. Completely cursed. I don't trust this. No, I don't trust you. You're ejecting. $80 to $100 logic probe adapters stole their design from EV blog forums. They abuse SN65 LVDS 391D. It's an LVDS driver. Huh. Yeah, I don't know much about LVDS, but I guess that's essentially what they're using. Low voltage digital signal, is that what that is? So, I mean, maybe we can make our own board for less than $75. Don't be like me, actually throw it away instead of putting it in the drawer. But it's pretty. It's like one little metal loop. It's like a pretty drive. It's nice. Yeah, I'll throw it away. You can make your own board for less than $20. If I can do it with just like a perf board, then yeah, we should just do that. It'll be a lot of connecting stuff, but it looked like there was an LM1117 and then just a bunch of LVDS drivers. So it's probably just a lot of wires going into a lot of pins and then a lot of pins going into a lot of wires again. It would be nice to just make that on my own. No, perf board isn't going to work at this level of performance. Damn it. Dang it. Freaking stupid. Fuck. USB drive D. It's already formatted. I lost my paste. I lost my paste. I have nothing to eat. Downloads folder. I cut and paste. It's not there anymore. Extract to this again. Yes to all. Here we go. Give me all of this. This doesn't even need to be formatted. That was a lot more trouble than it should have been. USB sticks suck. Floppy's getting written extreme low level. The system tells the disk driver where and how the bits are getting written. The drive itself is mostly just signal conditioning. I see. Interesting. So the system dictates what it's doing with the sectors of the disk. So that's hard to emulate. I'm sure you could do something. I don't know. I guess, yeah, what you were saying before is that they all do it differently, and so it's tough to make an emulator that'll just work. Okay, so get out of here. This thing is cursed. We take this disk. Good thing it gets in the way of the interface. Now, do I boot it with the disk in, or is it USB device detected? Well, good thing this thing doesn't recognize an upgrade. I gotta restart anyway. Hopefully this thing pops back into existence. When I save one image from my oscilloscope to my USB stick, it takes 5 seconds to save it. Yeah, things are kind of cursed. I mean, this one might actually be much faster than that. I could get video too off of it. We're only here to make you go. Come on, buddy. So this is essentially a tablet. USB device connected is what I get. What does that mean? Oh, and see, that doesn't update. So to update it, I need to actually go to studio mode. I need to go to frameless scope, to the scope scene, properties. See, refresh browser when scene becomes active doesn't work now. What if I shut down the... No, not shut down when not visible. It needs to always be active. Yeah, see, I have to go in there and refresh it that way. We got to figure out a better solution for that. My scene within a scene thing doesn't work when this pauses. Yeah, they need to emulate the proprietary way that it's writing data. Although, you know, systems are crazy enough nowadays. Why wouldn't it just emulate that? Oh, does the .gel need to be on the root? Because it's not asking me. Do I have any file system stuff? That's different. So quick action. That's a save image thing. Other open source acknowledgement? No. About? No. Firmware. Hey, give me the new firmware. Setup? Nope. Okay, I think it needs to be on the root of the directory. So let's just fucking do it. Just do it. Just do it already. I don't see anything in the utility or system. Hold on, let's go back to the drive. Man, this is annoying. Does this drive even fit right here? No, it doesn't. I can't plug it in. I gotta plug it in on the hub that's plugged into another hub. We heard you like hubs. So we put a hub on your hub. Hubby hub hub. Hub hub hub. And then this one is so far away that it doesn't show up. So I gotta actually plug it in over there. Ah. The stream computer is a lot of very, very overextended USB hubs. That's what my whole computer does. All it does is USB to the point where it's absurd. And so some things don't like to be far away. So I have to plug them in all the way over here at the PC. And since my projects work the way that they work, I have not made a front bezel for this PC yet. So it's a dangling USB drive. Lost.dir? Android? Oh. Copy the upgrade gel to the root directory. There it is right there. Keep instrument in the power on state. Then insert the USB into the host. Enter the storage module from left down entry. Okay, so let's cut this. Put this on the root. And then eject. I'll safely eject it. I've had drives die like that before. Eject. ST4. I hate it when it lists all the drives. Ejecting USB storage. And go retrieve my drive. So with it just powered on, plug this in. So USB device detected. There you go. So from the pull down menu, which was during enter the storage module from the left down entry. Left down entry, is it this? And then enter the storage module. Huh? Storage. That's not, it's settings. Upgrade. Wait a minute, load? .stp. That's not right. What does it say? Enter the storage module, select the upgrade tab, click the, and then it cuts off. Click the path and select the package from the USB disk. All right, so upgrade, file path, removable USB disk. Oh, so I didn't need to actually put it on the root folder. Select that. Select the package from the USB disk, click OK to start. Okay, so boop. What is it? Is it doing it? After upgrading has been completed, the instrument will restart. During the upgrade, the instrument interface will display the current upgrading process. That is not what I see here. I see it doing nothing. The gods do not want to update this oscilloscope. I know, right? This is the second such device that I have. The other one that does stuff like this is my gaming monitor. I can't upgrade the software on it. Click on upgrade. Oh, does that finally initiate what I set up? I see. Yep. So we've been here before. We certainly have been here before. Last time I did this, I let my oscilloscope run for 48 hours. And it didn't upgrade. And it doesn't give you any other information about what's going on. I'm sure in the background there's all kinds of Linux shit going on that it could display. I would love it if it would actually tell me that stuff. You want to know that your machine is doing things, because it sat for like 48 hours last time and I had no view into the interface of what was going on. It's possible that there's another method to do this stuff, but yeah, I hope it just snaps into action this time, but it's not looking good because this is exactly what it did before. There's probably some like interim step in console. Like if I had an actual console on this thing, I could probably just tell it to do something and it would snap out of it. It's like a yes-no interface. That upgrade should have been everything that I need. I wonder if it's one of those things where you have to have like another version in order for it to actually update. Self-calibration operation. Make sure the instrument's been warmed up. Been operating for more than 30 minutes before self-calibration. Disconnect all input channels. Press utility self-cal. Then click start to perform the self-calibration. Takes about 20 minutes to perform the self-calibration. After it's complete, restart the instrument. If the instrument failed to read the upgrade file for the USB disk, please try to replace the USB disk. Come on now. I need to get this scene onto the Stream Deck. If the problem still persists, try to download the upgrade file. That's what I'm doing. Oh, it just restarted. Okay, so we're good. Problem still persists after performing the above two operations. Please visit the website. please send your scope back to us. I actually got it to update though. Hey. Personally, I would rather they just give me the Linux interface on this thing and I can do apt-get, update, and upgrade. Actually, you're not supposed to do that anymore. Isn't there a new one? I found a Spanish tutorial. He seems to be doing the same as you. Oh, I don't really need it. I think we're good. I think this scope is rare enough that it's actually kind of difficult to find people doing this kind of stuff with, right? Because people buy like the entry-level scope for the Rygals, which is like $400 some odd. It's what I should have done, but here I am, struggling. Okay, so now this thing has been on for 30 minutes, although it did just restart, so maybe we give it a couple more. We don't need this anymore. Interface-wise, things look just about the same. Maybe a little bit darker than they were. It also changed all the settings. Check out our system information. Utility, self-check, board test. Yeah, and then my additional scene didn't come back on. I don't know how I can remotely refresh that. I'm going to let it get a couple more degrees up for running, and then we'll do the self-test, the self-calibrate. With our big fan. Dun, dun, dun. I can't hear this fan at all, so that's pretty good. The low noise adapter did slow it down a little bit, but I think we're moving enough air that this thing will just remain nice and cool. It's a pretty common fan. I would have liked the low profile with the low noise adapter because then it would have stayed thin, but I think this is it's a pretty good upgrade. I mean, the scope isn't hot anymore. All that heat is leaving it. You can see, I mean, the thermals are very dramatic about what they show. They're sort of a little over dramatic. Oh yeah, check the firmware version. Utility. No, not IO. Yeah, 1.04. We are on the new version of the firmware. Let's just check the web interface quickly. Although if it, wait, is my IP address still the same? Utility, IO 223, it's still the same. It still recognizes as the same device as on my network, so my router didn't do anything weird. So what I want to do is go to, here, I'll just go to the scene. I can't talk because I don't have a microphone on this one. So now it's back and working. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that in the future. Yeah, what is it about, like, I guess just first runs of devices? This is like an early version of this device. And I guess upgrading from 1.0 firmware just didn't go through. And I don't know why. I don't think it was me not hitting something, but it just didn't click. Well, thanks to these little SanDisk memory cards that I've got littering the drawer that you guys aren't allowed to see, we were able to actually get the firmware on there. They were finally useful. You guys aren't allowed to look in that drawer. All right, let's do the self-calibration. So we're going here, we're going to utility, and then with nothing plugged in, we go to self-cal. Please disconnect all channels. Start. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my God. Whoa. Well, what is it doing? See, at least they show you stuff happening. During the upgrade, nothing was like this. It's probably sifting through all the RF noise in this shop. There's tons from the microphones and the audio devices, and those lights especially put out quite a bit. I had to put some pretty serious filtering on those lights in order to shut them up. Apparently, you can also add a capacitor to them. Some of these LED light strips actually have, like, you add like a 47 microfarad capacitor like over here, and it'll apparently shut them up. But when they're dimming, they're being sent PWM and they just leak RF all over the place. This will take a while. You leave it like this for 20 to 30 minutes. Oh boy. All right. This goes in the garbage. And I guess, well, I need the scope in order to do the audio stuff. So there we have it. We're calibrating our scope. Well, the scope's doing it for us. So there's not really much for me left here today. Maybe we should raid you guys into Roboz. How about that? It feels kind of cyclical though, because it's like most of my viewers are because I'm a big Roboz fan and personal friend now apparently. But like raiding them in just feels like, you know, the handle of a teacup. I've siphoned off my viewers and now I'm gonna put them back in. But let's do it. He's playing like a world building game right now, so it's nice and calm. We're not raiding into somebody, you know, grunting and screaming. Those sword swinging games, I really hate the streams of them because you get your tinny, like crackling VR helmet, and then the whole game is the streamer going, wah, brr. So I'm sitting here working and listening to somebody like grunting behind me. It's like, no. Some serious procrastination, modding the scope. Listen, this is a necessary thing. My scope was dying. It was overheated. It was overheated and just straight up not having a good time. So this self-calibration, which is something that I never did to the scope, and upgrading the fan is so entirely necessary that it completely hobbled my stream for a day. We're going to raid into Roboz though. At least one of us is getting something done. And I'm going to put the scope back into its little cubby hole so that it can get nice and warm on its own. So that self-calibration will be a little more true to what we're going to see in the field. Of course, now with the added thing where if I reach for my scope and I grab it by that handle, it's possible that I'm going to grab it in such a way that my fingers will touch the fan. So it's possible to like go over here and I'm like, ah! All right. We're getting the ball rolling again. I had kind of like a big break in my own personal ability to do things. Maybe it was burnout. Probably it was something else. I also had some real life stuff that I had to do that were slightly higher priority than stream. But I'm back. So we're going to continue streams. I'm going to be back on Tuesday. We're going to take it easy. I would like to work on this mixer more, and I will get to burn the subs this month. There's still a lot of stuff. If I go over the list of stuff to do, I'm going to shut down again. So thank you. Thank you for joining me in this weirdo shop to do weird stuff. We've done a lot of weird stuff today. We're going to keep doing weird stuff on Thursday. I didn't set up the end command, so this is going to be wrong, but here are social media things if you care to invest, if you want to join us on Discord, or check out my Blue Sky where I occasionally post about Willow. But yeah, I'll be in Discord and of course all around the internet in the interim. On Wednesday, I need to do some shopping and have butter scones with tea. No, but then Thursday I will be back and maybe we'll work on the mixer a little bit more. You know, doing the incremental testing as we go. That's all I have. Where is the scene that I technically need to end on? I think it's this. Oh yeah, we were gonna raid into Rabaz. Wait a minute. Raid Rabaz. Let's raid into Rabaz. I'm gonna throw you guys into a game stream for once. Silly Swedish man. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Wow, we have like a definitive end to this one. It's crazy. If you guys are still watching, you should be in that raid.